This conference is being recorded.
Hi, this is Russ Tanner from Global Skywatch, and it is November 18th, 2013, and this is Global Skywatch Radio. This is the place where we talk about the largest crime against humanity in human history. It is something that Guy got involved in because I can smell and taste those trails in the air that are descending. Particles are falling out of them and creating a horrible taste and smell in the air that a lot of people can smell and taste, not everyone. It's kept below the threshold of smell and taste for most people, but for people like me, it's unbearable. It has changed my life. It causes health symptoms, and I know it causes health symptoms in everyone around me. I've seen when the when the odor and the taste gets intense, people's personalities change. They either get grumpy, or they get tired, or they get ornery, or they get depressed. I've seen it happen every single time. Different kinds of trails affect people in different ways. So we're going to have an open mic tonight. We're going to talk about all of this stuff. A lot of stuff happening in the world today, but I'm going to really give the mic over to you all, and we're going to maybe just pose some questions and let you all answer about how we're going to turn this thing around, if we are going to turn this thing around, because quite frankly, it's not turning around fast enough for me. It's going too slow. It's been 8 years now since I've known about this, and the progress we've made is substantial, but it's not enough. It's not enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on Q&A mode on the console.
Q&A session started.
And what that means, if you want to call in and you want to talk, the microphone is yours tonight. The call-in number is 559-726-1300. 559-726-1300, and the access code is 156230. And when you call in, just press *6 on the phone, and then you can talk. Let me go ahead and dump that number in the chat room so everybody has it on the new chat that we have here, right now. Wow, it has been a really interesting week for me. I'm not going to go into details. Nothing that I would say bad, but has been a turning point in my life in some aspects, in some personal ways. But that's neither here nor there when it comes to this issue. Just, I guess it's all part of the personal growth process in life. Just amazing stuff. I think what I'll do is I just want everybody to think about the Philippines for a moment. It's been a terrible situation, and I have no doubt in my mind that this was a engineered storm. As basically we have, this is what Dane will say all the time, Dane Wigington, who I co-host with on Saturdays, is there is no natural weather anymore. The particulates in the atmosphere are so dense, so thick, so prevalent that clouds don't form the same way. Moisture doesn't form the same way. Dutchson's did a interesting video showing some pulses that began a rotation that spun the storm up that went into the Philippines. I don't know how you all feel about that, but please call in and tell me what you think about it. When you call into the console, again, you can get the number from globalskywatch.com/live. When you call in, just press *6 on your phone, and you'll be entered into the Q&A queue, and then I'll let people talk once you're in the queue. When you press *6, it basically tells me that you want to chat, and then I can turn your mic on through the console. So basically, how are we going to turn this around? We have over 13,000 people now in our Facebook group, which is good. It's good. But a couple months ago, I had George Barnes, who is the person whose company wrote Skyder Alert. He's the owner of the company. And he said it's going to take millions, at least 1 million, but millions of people actively involved before this program will ever be stopped. And I completely agree. The powers that be know that, number one, if they stop, people were going to break out of their funk. They're going to wake up and they're going to be able to think again and they're going to have passion again. And they don't want that, because once the people wake up and realize what's going on, there will be prosecutions and executions like this world has never seen before. We are dealing with the largest crime against humanity in human history. Nothing touches this. I'm not a radio personality. I just started doing this live stream because I'm trying to do everything I can to raise awareness about this. And it can't stop soon enough for me, because it has completely changed my life with the suffering and the pain that I have gone through. And God only knows how many years I've lost off of my lifespan. So if you want to call in, please call 559-726-1300, and your access code is 156230, and you can get all that information from globalskywatch.com/live. What are we going to do to put an end to this? Let me ask our first caller. Hi, you're live. How are you doing?
Hi, Russ. It's Trina.
Hi, Trina. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. What are you up to? What's on your mind?
Well, what's been on my mind is the recent tornado outbreak that went through the Midwest yesterday. You were just commenting about the Philippines
That's right. Yes, yes.
being manufactured. I wanted to hear your thoughts, or anyone else that's on the call tonight, about, I think, some 80-some tornadoes touched down, and I don't even believe we're in the tornado season in that area of the region right now.
Right.
I might be wrong, but I thought tornado season was like summer months.
Well, that's the thing is, there's a couple different ways that I look at this, and if anyone else wants to call in and join us chatting, please call now. I agree with Dane Wigington. There is no natural weather today. Weather modification technology began really in the 50s, was developed in the 60s. In fact, in the 60s, the father of modern weather warfare, from his own mouth, you can go online. We actually have a whole video of an interview with him on the Global Skywatch website on the news feed. Go into the news feed and you'll see the father of modern weather warfare. They could start storms, stop storms, steer hurricanes, kill hurricanes in the 60s. In the 70s, I found newspaper articles that talked about the weather modification technology that was so advanced they could pretty much do whatever they wanted. It was, with all the money, with all the money in the world, with no limit on your resources, you can develop technologies very quickly. Now, what we have to ask ourselves is, if we can do all of this stuff, then why does anyone die from storms anymore? And the only possible answer is that because they're allowing it to happen. That's the gentle answer. That's the easy answer, the conservative answer. But the more realistic answer is that it's absolutely intentional and that these storms are being engineered. And when you see all of the radar anomalies that occur,
I was thinking about that too.
have you seen the radar anomalies that actually steer the jet stream and they start storms? You'll see these around the major cities. They have the towers and they have these big, either the beams that go out or the big radii, the big circles. And then right after the circles, the cloud cover just explodes in that area. Have you seen that, or what have you seen?
Right, yeah, I think Rev. Michelle Hopkins has several great videos pointing out that very thing in various places around the world, actually.
Right, right. And I've seen that from
off the tip of New Zealand. One time I think I saw that the radar being activated in that way, in that fashion like you described.
Right.
And other areas too, here in the United States as well.
Do you think it's based on everything I said about how, and one thing, I'll preface this all, and I'll ask you this in a second, but there's this document, everybody talks about this document, Controlling the Weather by 2025.
Right, I've seen that PDF of it.
Okay, what I would tell everyone right now is that document is pure disinformation. And here's why I say that. They're doing geoengineering on a massive scale now for at least, well, for many years, but intensely for 8, 10 or 12 years already. But what are they telling the public? They're saying, oh, we're going to do it in the future. We're thinking about it. We're convening panels and conferences around the world, and we're thinking about doing this. But yet it's happening right now.
So you think it should say 2002 instead of 2020?
Well, no, my point is that this is a disinformation tactic. They do something now, and they tell the public we're thinking about doing it in the future. And what it does is it makes it hard for the future to really, hard for the public to really think that it's happening right now, because why would they be so openly talking about doing it in the future? It just doesn't make sense in the public's mind. And the public scratches their head and just says, I guess all those lines in the sky really are vapor trails like we're being told that they are. And in the same way, the document controlling the weather by 2025 is doing exactly the same thing. That's what it is. They're telling the public that our goal is to control the weather by 2025 when the weather control technology is already mature and functional. And that keeps the public from being able to really to believe it, because they're thinking, well, why would they do this? The public just, is anybody astonished by, I want to be nice here, but how they just don't get it about that all this stuff is going on. They don't put the pieces together. They don't want to know, but I'm getting off the subject here. But anyway, that whole document about controlling the weather by 2025, it's like we've got to see it for what it is. They're just trying, it's the same disinformation technique where they say, we're not doing it now, we're going to try to do it in the future, but they're doing it now, and it keeps the public thrown off base. So go ahead.
No, I agree with you 100%. But also in regards to my question about Tornado Alley and through the Midwest and different places, all the tornadoes, as well as the Philippines, that's been weighing heavy on my mind. And Fukushima, of course. But anyway, we could go on and on about all the events that are the worst we've seen in 100 years, and that's usually quoted on the news stations. But I think right before I called in, I heard you speaking about asking callers and asking people their thoughts on how to stop this. I think you were talking about, and I'd like to hear more of what others have to say on that. And what you think is going to be a feasible option. Is it just merely sheer numbers? People, like you said, connecting the dots and tying the pieces together before we can ever have a chance? But I have a lot of people tell me it's too big, but I'm not going to give up hope.
I don't think it's too big at all. It's going to take, I think it's going to take, and anyone else who wants to press *6 on their phone, our console's loading up, which is nice. But press *6 if you want to talk, and I'll keep Trina on the phone, and we'll all have a little chat, but then you can tell us what you think. But it is a huge program, but the thing is senators and congressmen and all our local governments and their family, they're all being sprayed. They're all breathing this garbage. There's a little tiny group of people at the top that probably have remedies and super air filtration devices that cost $30,000 that remove this stuff, and they spend most of their time in their homes so they're protected, or in the underground bases that we know there are massive.
And complete access to organic food and things of that nature.
Right. But the thing is that the vast majority of people, even the people in governments, our local governments, who sit there and do nothing, because I've called my local government and they don't want to deal with this issue. I've had great conversations with them initially, and then they shut down and they won't even return calls or answer emails. They just shut right down.
Well, we had a local write-up in a local paper here, a little neighborhood paper, if you will, about geoengineering recently. I was excited to see that, and then another person told me that they heard a meteorologist talk about it in Minneapolis, so that was great news. I think if more people were to raise it in the mainstream news, then it would also get more attention.
Yeah, I think it would. But I think if we've got, let me try to unmute. I just tried to unmute one of our callers, so we have a three-way chat going here, and I'm getting some background noise.
If you want.
No, you're good. Yeah, you're good. Everything's quiet with you. So let's see. Yeah, see. Okay, sorry, I've got to mute. Sorry, caller. I guess I'll get to you in a minute. You're kind of in my area. I can tell by your area code, but nope, and you're gone. You just left the console. That's okay.
Russ, I heard an unmute on my phone.
Oh, okay. Not sure what's going on, but anyway, we're good. We got two people. Got Mark here and Trina. And if anyone else wants to join in, press *6. Call in the console. You can go to globalskywatch.com/live to get that phone number. But I think it is going to take numbers, and I think that it's going to be an avalanche when it begins to happen. Because, and that's the 100th monkey syndrome. When you have a certain threshold of people, then the rest of the public just follows. That's a psychological principle of human behavior. And we're waiting for that avalanche to begin, but I think it's going to take a lot more people because people will not do something risky or something that will make them look like a conspiracy theorist, because that's been demonized in the media on purpose, of course. Um, and so people don't want to do anything that's going to ruin their reputation or threaten their social standing. And so we're waiting for people to get over all of the trivial fears and face the fact that we are standing on the forefront of Armageddon. No food, no electricity, and the government is showing its colors by it's having a massive buildup of military. We've got foreign troops on the soil. The FEMA camps are already built. Don't mean to be dismal, but you know, there's no more time to wait. We are on the brink of something big, and we need to do something about it. I mean, what do you think?
Are you talking about to me? Is that?
Well, yeah, you or Mark. Either of you have thoughts, or I mean, where do we go from here?
I think so. Also, I think with the development, especially with Department of Homeland Security and the civilian army that Obama wanted to create, and the police force seems to be on steroids anymore. I was watching a thing on AOL today. There was a video of a cop shooting to a van full of teenagers, it looked like, when a lady started speeding off. Like whatever happened to putting the spikes down on the road and letting somebody's tires go flat and then making them get out of the car. I mean, they just seem to assassinate anymore. I think that's out of control, and I think if we look all around, I read another article just yesterday where a young lady was arrested for DUI, and she died in jail overnight. And I don't know if you guys have seen a video where there was a lady in jail, and the police slammed her into the concrete face first. I mean, that's on the rise. So when you look at things like that, how that seems to be people on a power trip or whatever you want to call it, I think that it's very close to the tipping point. I really do agree with you that people need to get a clue real quick.
Yeah, yeah. Mark?
Watched a video the other night. A guy ran across the field. It was in some country, a foreign country. He was waving a flag, and he was soccer field, and 4 cops had him on the ground, and then they handcuffed him, and his hands were tied behind his back. And one cop started jabbing him in the side with a baton once he was already on the ground, and the crowd saw this. And the soccer players ran over and started kicking the cops in the head, and before you knew it, everyone was coming out of the grandstands and rushing these cops. The cops ran off when all these people revolted against them, beating up the guy that was already subdued. And I think if we could get that kind of reaction around the world, we might have a chance.
Yeah, I saw that video. I saw that a while back, and I've seen it a couple times since, and I think it's phenomenal because people have to understand that this chaos is being the reason that all this chaos is being engineered, because it is. All of the disease, I mean, there's cures for cancer, for God's sake. How many millions of people are dying every year because this is being covered up? And who doesn't know somebody that they care about who's died from cancer, and yet we just let it happen? And yet Canada, they've got DCA, we've got all kinds of things that this should not even happen, but it's an industry and people are making money from it. So my point is that people have to understand that all of this stuff is happening. This is a great segue because I did think about wanting to bring this very point up today. Is we want to ask, what is the problem? What does this all come back to? What does it all come down to? Well, we say, well, why is there geoengineering? Well, there's geoengineering because we all have our reasons, but the bottom line, or not the bottom line, but one of the levels is that the government is implementing some kind of plan, and it's not good for the public. It's good for securing the power of the private sector, the corporations that control government right now. Literally, if you watch Corporation Nation, you'll understand that the government, the federal government, the United States, and all nations of the world are currently controlled completely by the private sector. And not a little bit, completely. And it's, you can back it up by the comprehensive annual financial reports. We know this. Okay, so then we have to ask, well, why? Why that? How did that ever happen? Well, because ultimately the people did not keep out an eye on government like the forefathers of the United States warned us direly to do. They told us, if you do not do this, you will wake up homeless. You will wake up destitute in your country you were born in. This is what's going to happen, and it's happening right now. So I bring all of this back blame, and I firmly blame the general public for, and I understand that we're being sprayed and we're tired and we hurt and people have been deceived and all of this, but why did I latch onto the truth and the next person didn't? Why did you latch onto this truth? Why did you recognize this? Why? Because you care. People become knowledgeable about the things they care about. And that's one of the mechanisms that the powers that be have used to keep people distracted, to keep them caring about the football game or caring about the latest, greatest car they're going to own or whatever. They kept them caring about that, which has helped to keep them ignorant. But we've fallen for it. People have fallen for it, and they forgot the basic principles that if you do not keep your government in check, you will end up suffering so greatly that the little bit of work you could have done each week, maybe 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month or 2 hours a month doing some kind of work to keep your government accountable, if you are not willing to do that, then the suffering that we will suffer will be 1,000 times greater than that work that we could have invested. And that's the ultimate problem. Having people have the will to get involved, get away from their idols, get away from these things that they're valuing so much and get involved. Because if you don't, and the other side point, if they don't, because the majority is unwilling to do this, we're all going to suffer. I guess it wouldn't be so bad if we could all say, well, I don't want this to happen, but at least it's like fluoride. If you're fluoridating the water, at least I can go get non-fluoridated water. Or if you can choose what fillings you put in your teeth, or if you still have choices about vaccine, you can opt out. So if the majority wants to get jabbed with and get mercury and other aluminum and formaldehyde and all kinds of other things injected into them, well, that's their choice. Unfortunately, the children pay for that choice. But at least I can opt out. But with chemtrails, there is no opting out. So it comes back on, and I didn't mean to segue so long, but it comes back on the heads of the public, the majority of the public that is unwilling to do what we have to do to keep government accountable. And I feel, I watch those videos where the police go crazy on people too. And it's unbelievable. And we've got to, if we would have kept our first principles, we would have realized that there is no authority. When they shoot a bus or when they come to your door, or if we recognize, I think, did it say that 60% of the prison population is for illegal substance abuse, maybe something like that? And yet the government facilitates most of that. If you know what's really going on, they're the largest importer of drugs in the United States. They're the ones who are bringing them in. And if people are listening who don't know about that, watch the Clinton Chronicles or watch the Mina Connection, those two videos for free. All of this information is free. And these aren't conspiracy theory videos. These have IRS investigators, these have sheriffs, these have deputy investigators in these videos testifying to these things. And yet the public doesn't care. So I'm sorry, I was going to stay calm and quiet tonight, but I'm getting worked up.
Sorry, Russ, I didn't mean to get you going.
No,
I know exactly how you feel, though.
It's just absolutely astonishing. And then unfortunately, I want police to have the freedom to do their job. I want
I agree.
I want sanity, but
right.
But
I agree.
You have to look at it. You can't have a police officer that looks at an individual and says, "You're an animal. Treat you like an animal." You are they should be looked at. And I know if people are listening who are educated about this, yes, I know we are technically owned. We're property because people have received a social security number. They have received, and I could go into that whole thing. It's a whole nother discussion. But the bottom line is the way it should be is that a police officer looks at you in the eyes of the law and says, okay, do I have a right to approach you? Do I have a right? You have all of these shields up around you. And if they come to you and say, I want to do this, I want to search you, but it's, let's say, an illegal search, it doesn't matter. You can't. Sorry, you don't have the authority. You know, or I want to pull up a gun. You have nothing in your hand, but I'm going to pull up. Or you're driving away, or you're running away from me. I'm going to pull a gun out and shoot you. You don't have the authority. It's not. It's not there. And even when you look at all this stuff, when you say that we're in contract and we're owned because of this, the other thing I would also kind of rebut that, if it ever was justly heard in court, is that people can't be bound in a contract that they don't understand the terms of. It's immoral. So the contract would never hold up in court. So it's all based on a lie. For those who know what I'm talking about, the whole social security number thing. But that's another discussion. But what do we do? Mark or Trina, and I have another call. Let me see if I can unmute this without getting a lot of noise. All right. Good. We got another caller on here too. How you doing, caller? You there, caller?
Hey.
Hello?
You hear me?
Yeah, your audio is we're getting a lot of feedback. Like,
Let me walk outside.
okay.
This is Rob from Portland.
Oh, hey Rob, how's it going?
Well, you certainly control your frustration better than I do. I'm, besides all the things you were talking about, I'm currently frustrated with this technology. I can't get a signal on my cell phone. The Magic Jack won't let me call because I need to pay extra or something. Anyway, you ever hear of Dutch scent?
Yeah, very familiar with Dutch scent.
Yeah. I picked up on him a couple of years ago and followed his flash radar reports. Very convincing. I dedicated a whole show, my News and Blues show, to it. Ran into a viewer at one point who was just so angry. I touched that nerve, you know. Oh, that's so stupid. Controlling the weather. I mean, come on. You know, so that means maybe
he's afraid. He's afraid. You know, that's what happens when you see these people going into defense mode. They're afraid that what we're saying might be true, and they don't want to believe it, so they actually shoot back.
How would you describe the atomic bomb before it was ever dropped?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Actually, the anniversary of the Kennedy assassination, and all the reports of that. 50 years, nothing's changed. You know, you can actually look at the Zapruder film and see the driver at the point where the car slows down. You can actually see the driver slow down the car, turn around, and fire at Kennedy. At that very point is when his head goes back and to the left. To the left, I don't quite understand. But then again, the hole was on the right side, the right rear of his head, which would make sense if the driver shot him, as it seems to be. But his head went to the left, maybe because he got hit by a shot from the grass. You know, I don't know, but I'm just so frustrated with this mainstream news. One of their stories tonight was a story about a puppy dog, and anyway.
Well, Rob, isn't that evidence that mainstream news is being dishonest with us when we have all of these incredible issues? We have all of this evidence of weather control. We have all of this evidence of corruption, and mainstream media is ignoring this. I mean, to anyone who doesn't believe, if you're listening and you don't think there's a massive global conspiracy going on that is harmful to us, then you just need to look at the fact that if you watch the movie The Corporation Nation, which documents the structure of the corporation owning of the United States, they'll never talk about that. They don't want the public to know about that. And it's easy to understand once you realize that the corporations own mainstream media in this, and never in history has there ever been a time when the technology existed to control the flow of information like today.
Of course, they've been bought and controlled for years by the powers that be.
Yeah.
So they're complicit.
Right.
And as for the local meteorologists, I'll take a shot at them every once in a while, but who knows?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
try to catch my show, News and Blues, if you can. You people out there who get in the Portland area, and send me an email. My email address is right on the screen all the time. And I haven't got an email for, I don't know, maybe a month and a half. But, I mean, I think people watch it. It's just...
Well, tell people where they can go, because you've got a great show. You have fantastic... I've seen some of the episodes of your show. Besides some great guitar playing and some good music, your news is hard-hitting and right on. So where do people go to see this?
Well, it's on Channel 2 and 5 in the Portland Time Warner cable system.
This is Portland, Maine he's talking about.
I feel like that's, and all the surrounding towns, like Gorham and Hollis, Buxton. That's the main medium, okay? I don't really focus on YouTube because I actually take all my material from YouTube, most of it, which is a little bit different. But, I mean, everything is on there. Everything you could ever want to see is on there.
I know.
Like you're saying, everything is documented, but people either don't want to listen to it or, I don't know, Russ, I'm just thinking to myself, what the hell is going on? But, hey, listen, what's going on now? The purge, you've heard of the purge of the military now?
Yeah.
All these generals are being fired. And the Navy, of course, the Navy, they report that on the mainstream news, but they say, well, they were involved in some scandal. So, they report it along with the manufactured story. So the public thinks that they're bad guys, so they're being fired justly. And not the case at all. This happened in Stalin's Russia, Mao Zedong in China. They purged the military of the righteous military men, the whistleblowers.
Yeah.
And people who will go along with the program. So that's what's happening right now, and that's a big red flag that we're getting close to something.
Yeah.
And, I really think that they're really in the shootings are starting to occur more often, and almost every one you can see it almost so clearly. The indications that they're staged shootings. Once you think about it a little bit, I mean, I like your show because we talk about the psychological reasons why people don't wake up. And I found a great film that I ran on my show, News and Blues, called State of Mind, by the guys, some independent producers, did a movie called State of Mind, The Psychology of Control, and it's excellent. It shows how media, television, movies, Hollywood, how that's all run and set up to influence us and dumb us down. So,
yeah.
I think I'll probably get off the phone now because I'm outside and I'm getting called. That's the only way I could get a signal here. But
well, I'm glad you called in, but I encourage people.
Touch base with you. I'll go back inside and listen to the rest of the show. And
okay.
how are you doing? I mean, were you feeling bad last week or? Monday? That's Monday?
Well, I been kind of a roller coaster ride for me, but yeah.
Missed you last week. So.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't do a show last week. I had to take a week off. I had to take a night off. But
I actually did too.
Did you?
I took a week off my show and very discouraged. But keep on fighting, you know.
Well, you too.
Okay, buddy. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you too. I appreciate everything you do.
See you later.
All right. See ya. Yeah, we just had a new caller join us. I see Mark is also with us. So, caller, I just unmuted you a couple minutes ago. Are you on with us?
Yes, this is the Homegrown Jones here in Colorado.
Well, how you doing this Monday night?
Great. Want to let you know we're big fans, you and Dane, and tuned in and decided to call you in and give you our perspective from Colorado.
Well, awesome. I'm glad you did. So, what's the perspective?
Well, you know, it all started for us back with Katrina, and then when Sandy came around, we really got involved in putting the dots together as far as weather modification and the geoengineering that guys have told the truth about, and tuned in, and we started connecting everything between HARP and systems that go down. Wanted to tell you that we see a lot of that activity out here in western Colorado. In fact, we have the full moon rising, and to the east of us is the Black Canyon and Cerro Summit, and there's definitely activity, trails,
Yeah, we're actually losing you a little bit. Got to probably speak up into that phone a little would probably help. But you're seeing that. So you're seeing the activity what, every day?
Oh no, not every day.
Mm-hmm.
But since Sandy, like I said, we've connected the dots and we pay attention to the weather, and we're watching the radar and watching things happening, and it seems like it's pretty consistent either before or after these weather patterns, and we put a lot of the dots together that lead us, to that understanding that there is, weather modification and geoengineering, and especially with the particles that they're using, the toxins and the poisons and the way they're affecting us. And wanted to call in, let you know we're all aware.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Do you find that there are a lot of people in Colorado? You said you're in western Colorado. Are people waking up quickly, slowly? What kind of attitude is going on out there?
There's a small nucleus of us that I think are awakening, and as the mycelium we are, we're trying to spread the word as we can, and having information and data, and a lot of people I think are overwhelmed. They don't know, they can't believe it. It's kind of shocking.
Well, I think that's probably been part of the psychological game from the beginning, is that when they started the attack on the public, I mean, of course, the attack on the public's been going on for a long, long time, but when they really ramped it up, they hit the public with so many things, and it's hard for the public to believe that, for instance, and here's an example. They are teaching school children right now that the big trails we see in the sky are condensation, and they're normal, and they've been around forever, which is a lie, which is an absolute bold-faced lie. And if you are a parent and you have children that are being taught this lie, they are being conditioned so that when they grow up, they're not going to fight against chemtrails. They're not going to think anything of it because they've been taught a lie and they believe a lie. But the thing is, the public is the public gets so stifled because they have this attitude that, well, if this was really going on, I'd know about it because we have free press and we have textbooks and we have investigative journalists and we have all of this stuff. So there's no way they could keep a secret. And all this stuff is not controlled. And
and that's beyond me, because these are things you can see and observe and articulate to your friends. You know, that you just look up and you can see it. There's a distinct difference. You know, I mean, I was in the West Elks about 15 years ago. You know, and I mean, contrails. They were pretty much non-existent as far as, you know, long, sustaining contrails. You know, we all could identify. And what was funny is when you would see them, we knew there was weather coming in. Otherwise, the planes were pretty much invisible. You know?
Right.
It's just such a distinct difference that, you know, to me, I just try to press that is that, you know, open your eyes and observe it for yourself. And, you know, it's so funny because most people don't have time to do that. And when you can actually sit and watch the sky and watch the cloud or the chemtrail slowly disperse, turn into a high cirrus cloud, and then layer upon layer, and all of a sudden our beautiful bluebird Colorado sky has turned into a milky white fog with the sun rays. You know, it's very, very obvious if you do observe. You know, I'm afraid people don't. You know, they got their faces in their phones.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. And then if they're ever confronted with it, they're like, well, look at the textbooks and look, we have a picture from the 50s showing from trails. They don't want to believe it, and there's such an attitude of I don't know what to call it, but maybe it's like, you know, belief entitlement, maybe I'll call it, you know, that people can believe whatever they want. And I've never felt that way in my life. I mean, what I believe.
And you know, I was immersed in this for months, still am. And I've done hundreds of hours of research, you know, and there are what people would call chemtrails. There are people that would call chemtrails visible in a 1945 video of a nuclear test. But if you look at the patents and the military's trust, I look at that as simple. You know, it's hiding the test site, and you know, that's simple stuff when you look at the patents and the ideas that were behind the military, especially in that time. You know, and the secrecy, and I understand all of that. But I've also looked, you know, through the history books, through patents, and I understand this is a program that is developed. It is underway. You know, it's not a matter of asking the question, you know, is this really going on? It is, and it's been under the guise of research for decades. And, you know, people really need to understand that. And hopefully, you know, by more people talking about it, you know, the observations will be made and people will see it.
Well, hopefully. And I mean, this is one of the reasons I get on all the time and I keep reminding people, if you're new to this, there is a relatively small group, maybe 1% of the population, maybe 2%, that can smell or taste this going on. And you guys can't see me. I don't have my camera turned on. I could turn it on if I wanted to, but I'm not really a camera guy. I don't know. I never thought I'd be doing this radio thing to begin with. But as you're talking, the air is so bad. I've always had a very sensitive sense of taste and smell. I've got a wet mask that when you're talking, I have to hold it over my mouth because tonight it is burning my sinuses. It's even, I can feel it on my eyes. It's the taste is horrible. There's a chemical metallic taste in the air, and it makes me have inflammation and makes my body hurt, my joints hurt, gives me a headache, and it changes people's behavior. Now, if everybody smelled and tasted this, it would be easy. but because you don't smell and taste things that aren't in the air. But they keep the level, the intensity of the spray right below the level that most people can smell or taste it. And I believe this is one of the reasons for the mass surveillance programs. This is why they're listening to phone calls, because they want to know exactly how hard. This is one of the reasons. There's other reasons too, but they want to know how hard they can spray. And then when people start talking about, do you smell that acetone in the air? Do you smell the sulfur? Do you? Oh, you got to back off. And they had to get those levels so they can get the maximum intensity with minimal detection.
Yeah, Russ, I can taste it.
Can you?
I have the days where I can taste it on my tongue, and there's no doubt.
Yeah.
You know, I take care of myself, and I feel like I'm real sensitive to the earth, and you know, I can taste it. Let me throw this thought at you, just because I've been thinking about it the last few days, because I've been thinking of the Fukushima and the radiation in the atmosphere. But I started to think that if they're injecting these spraying chemtrails into the atmosphere, and I've seen them drop and disperse, like I say, I could taste them. You know, what effect could this possibly have on the radiation that's in the jet streams and the atmosphere? Because they say, you know, the radiation levels increase during rainfall, which leads me to believe that the clouds in the atmosphere are dropping and sending the radiation down during the rain and the snow. And I was, you know, kind of observing that the other day here in Colorado, thinking to myself, like, wow, with the heavy metal dispersements and these particles descending on the earth, is this actually increasing that? Has anybody ever talked about that, or have you discussed anything with anybody about that?
Well, I've heard ideas like that before. And if anybody wants to call in, go to globalskywatch.com/live and call in. I'll give you the number now, 559-726-1300. The access code is 156230. Call in and share what you think about this. I think, based on my big picture of what I understand is going on, and I've been studying the big conspiracy, what is going to happen in the world the next, 30 or 40 years of my life. I've been studying this for a long time, and I've got a big picture where everything makes sense to me. Why are they destroying the earth? Why are they doing this? It all makes sense because they have a plan, and you can read from their own literature what the plan is, because it's all been leaked out now. It's all been leaked out. But the bottom line is, I think that using radiation is part of the plan. And so it's not, that HAARP can cause earthquakes. We know that. I mean, that was on their website. It used to be on their website. I saw it myself. And they removed that, a few years ago. That's
the big picture that I don't think a lot of people can put together. I think, and I see it too. I've put all that together: the particles, the grid, the radiation, and I think it's a perfect, almost an alibi in a way for this to continue. But the reason it concerns me is because I'm a Western Colorado guy. I grow food in the backyard. We try to be low impact, and we're growing our food, and we see, the damage, especially this summer and last summer. We saw the damage on the leaves of our tomatoes and our vegetables. They're being damaged. There's like these small little dots and fungus, and you can actually pluck a leaf. And sometimes after the bad days, we can rub our fingers, and it's like you can almost see the shimmer, and it's visible to us.
Yeah.
And when I think about the other elements that are around, oh man, breaks my heart. Just breaks my heart, man.
Yeah. Yep, I totally relate. In fact, if you're watching the live stream, let me show you some pictures of those burnt leaves. I've interviewed Helen from North Georgia. We now have a a PhD who is writing some articles about this. And here's a picture that he had. He sent me this, and he's going to be writing more articles about what's going on with these burnt leaves. I have this and have had this for several years now all over in my yard. I've seen my garden, parts of my garden die, and it looks like somebody has walked through the yard or through the garden and sprayed acid on the leaves of the plants. I'm getting reports of this happening all over Western Europe and all over the United States.
Yep, that's exactly what we're experiencing here. You know, and it's big. It's something we've never seen, and you know, we're already talking about, we do hoop houses, you know, and now we're talking about, you know, bigger greenhouse. The airborne particles. You know, I can't believe that more people don't realize, but I also look around my neighborhood, you know, I can see 5-6 yards from here, you know, and just a couple of us are growing food, and I'm thinking, you know, the minority, if they don't see it.
Yeah.
Once you see it, it scares you to death.
And I'll tell you, I really wish people could smell and taste this, because for me, it's horrendous. I mean, the sinus burn that I have, it's like you're spraying some nasty chemical in my face, and every one of us is breathing this 24/7. It never goes away. And how many years has it taken off of our lives? Or in how many years from now are we going to get cancer or have an aneurysm or a stroke or a heart attack because of these things? How many years have we all lost?
Oh, absolutely. You know, and like I'm saying, we're trying to grow food, you know, getting bombarded and assaulted by these criminals. You know, it's really hard to take. You know, what's it going to take?
Yeah.
I'm just really glad I called. Like I said, we're big fans of you guys, spreading the word.
Well,
Because we know, see it.
well, good. I appreciate that. I appreciate the support, and just please go out and keep spreading the word, because I think what we've got to do is we've got to get enough people. When there's 1 million people, we're going to have political pressure. The only thing I'm worried about is, are we going to have that many people soon enough before we go into full-blown martial law? That's my concern.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, I think it's all interrelated. It said before, you know, we've connected those dots, and yeah, unfortunately it will. I'm seeing pitchforks and torches, buddy.
Well, people have to get angry about this because we're being killed. I can't tell you how many people I know. I was keeping track for a couple of years, and I posted online, and I didn't use anybody's names, but I can't tell you how many people who have died or gotten serious diseases that I know in the past few years. I've never seen anything like it. It's been unbelievable to me. In the first year, between 2005 and 2005 is when they started spraying Jamestown, New York, on a daily basis, and I was there watching it. Between 2005 and 2006, I know more people, and not personally. It's either I knew them personally or I knew somebody who knew them, so they were removed 1 or 2 people away from me. But I know more people who died in that 1 year after the spraying started in that area than the rest of my life combined and doubled. And it was shocking. In fact, it happened to other people too. I've had people email me and say, my God, what is going on? Why is everybody getting sick? Why are so many people dying? Well, we know the answer. We know the answer because this stuff is very toxic. And some people are getting sick before others because some people have more glutathione, some people have stronger immune systems. There's a lot of variables. So some people are going to be affected before others. But we're all going to be affected. We're all going to lose years off our lives. And we're all going to have people who are affected earlier who get sick or pass on before we do. So nobody is immune from this. Well, hey, if you want to stick around, that'd be great. I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate all the kind words and support. And I'm so glad that you're spreading the word about this. If anybody else wants to call in too and join in on the discussion, I'll leave you guys' mics open. Your phones are nice and quiet, so if you want to chat in at any time, feel free. But if you want to call in, let me
I'd love
post.
to give you to the Earth, Leo, my partner here.
Yeah?
Probably love to talk to you as well, Russ.
Sure.
I'll put her on right now.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, how are you doing?
Oh, hey there. Is it Russ?
Yeah, this is Russ.
Russ, thank you so much for your work.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Are you are you holding it up out there in Colorado?
We are holding up as best as we can, yeah. You know, we came out tonight and have a little break as we're making dinner. Children and they're middle school, and anyway, they're spraying us as we speak, and we've got the almost full moon. Oh my gosh, let's turn on that show and see what's going on, what's shaking out there. And anyway,
Is there anything you're doing to protect yourself? Any tips or anything that you can share? Or
you know, I'm happy to share, Russ. Honestly, thank you so much for being here, and it's very heavy on the heart when you walk out and cry because you can't do anything about this freaking mess, and or you at least feel like you can't, and we all feel like that way. And I've gotten to the point, I don't know, I want to shift the conversation to the people because I'm frustrated to the point where we've got like about 10 to 20 people now who really control what's going on.
yeah,
As far as evergreen and I mean, there's hundreds of weather modification companies, but the actual funding behind it all, behind all the countries and the daily spraying, I can only imagine at the Air Force bases. Google Earth, I've been to Evergreen, I've been all over looking to figure out where are these planes coming from and how can we shut them down. Because, like you said, I heard you earlier, you've been in it for 8 years. I can only imagine, Russ. I've only been in it for a year. And I'm over the top, out of control with it. I've got children, and they understand now. They've written essays at school. And, I can't believe it anymore. I've shown them, they know how to look for the threads that are everywhere. I mean, once you understand how to see those things, and then understand how to see what's on everything, in us, because we've, consumed this stuff for how many years now? It's the overwhelmingness for a mother is, I don't know how to describe to you, and I say thank you to let me vent right now because overwhelming. And like I said, I'm ready for the pitchforks and the torches. We need to shut down the chemical companies that are supplying the chemicals to the fuels, to the, Jet A1, whatever, all of this nonsense that's going on. Where we live is a very unradared zone, or no, I shouldn't say unradared, that's not right. Sorry, it's an area that should not have very many commercial flights at all. And so when this first started happening for us, I immediately, as a person who has spent some time behind a pilot wheel, went and figured out, okay, how many commercial flights really do fly over Arizona? And I, figured it all out. And sure enough, there's, some days 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, I don't know. Sometimes I can't even count, more than you would see on the commercial, and I realized what was going on early on, only a lot because I had started studying this way back in the 90s when I couldn't understand some things that were happening, and being a physics person, ended up with HARP in my lap, and Angels Don't Play This HARP was given to me by a friend in the same year it was published, and I held on to that book for 20 years, and or almost 20, I guess, and anyway, I'm overwhelmed by the fact that we can't figure this out and we can't shut these people down. I mean, we have enough badness as it is, and why can't we shut these people down?
yeah,
And I know it's money. I know it is.
yeah. Well, what I see, I talked a few minutes ago about how I've studied this for many years and have put together a big picture that makes the world really understandable. It's not good. It's not a good picture, unfortunately, but it's
Not.
everything. If people understand what the big picture is, then all of this stuff makes absolute sense. It's bad, but it makes sense. And you can learn about this if you go to Global Skywatch and click on featured in the menu in the top. Click on the item that says special features, and then at the top of on this left sidebar, there's a link that says how the world really works. And in that, I did a series of 5 shows that actually explain the big picture. What is this all about? Where are we headed? Why are they doing this? Who is doing this? And what is their end game? And it's all laid out right there for you, for those who want to listen to it. But
I probably have, because I'm a voracious kind of person. I went to Columbia University. I graduated. You know, I'm like with next to Barack, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked by the whole deal, because here I was, you know, trying to figure out, well, you know, trying to be a good American girl and, you know, live the best I could, and here I am, shocked. I mean, really shocked. I think a lot of people have been, but, you know, I saw another term on the web, Russ, that makes a lot of sense to me. It's called slumberosis. It's like people who have been enlightened or awakened or somehow, you know, led to, you know, understand some more realities that we do about the way things really are shaking down in the world. And yet they can't seem to pull out of it. And they go right back into their secure states, or, you know, illusionary secure states, and continue to go about their lives without asking too many questions, and never researching too deep, and never wanting to find out more. And that's not me, for sure. So we have definitely, I mean, to the point where full divestment out of the diseased corporatocracy we live in is, you know, I mean, and that's a big part of it. As far you asked about protecting, food has a tremendous amount of play in that. Because, you know, once you understand that you are an organism connected with this beautiful earth, that to be healthy, you have to be in tune with her, and, you know, and be nourished by her in a way that was meant to be, you know, that's organic and natural and beautiful, and nothing created in a lab with, you know, chemicals that make no sense. You know, and that will fog you, will cloud your vision. Even one diet soda a day will, you know, end up clouding you more than you want. Unfortunately, you know, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say to friends that you love. You know, you're not losing weight. You're actually giving yourself toxins more and more. And we've already accumulated so much that we have prevalent cancer, prevalent Alzheimer's, prevalent, you know, all kinds of things over and over again. I mean, anyway.
Yeah, so true. And the thing that's just so sad is that there doesn't, in my honest opinion, I don't think that 99% of the disease needs to exist today. Let's ask ourselves, what is the largest cause of disease in the world today? Here's my answer: the FDA. And people may not put the pieces together yet, but the FDA their job is to protect the profits of the pharmaceutical companies. And if you're listening to this program and you haven't realized that yet, or you think I'm off my rocker when I say that, I guarantee you, if you do a little bit of research and you put the pieces together, you will come to this exact same conclusion. And once you understand that, the policies of the FDA are to cover up cures, to restrict alternatives, and to try to get everybody focused on profitable management of disease. Because disease management is extremely profitable.
Oh, no, that's the nail on the head there. It's money. It's all money. Once you tie it together with money, like they say, I mean, follow the money. It seems so simple, and yet it answers pretty much everything. It really does. I mean, definitely with health. You know, health care and health insurance are not the same thing. And the fact that we've confused that just shows how detached we've become from what true health is.
That's right.
Think that because you have good health insurance, you're suddenly, now an upstanding, you know, citizen who's going to be healthy. You know, what an illusion. It's a hoax.
Right.
It's a joke, and it's a racket, and it's been made to, you know, make money. You know,
right.
I explained this to my girls. They were only 13 and 11 just a few days ago, as we sat in the kitchen debating, you know, and I've got the, you know, drugs are bad, mom kind of thing. You know, and I'm trying to explain you need to understand what's different. You know, what's medicine, what are you labeling? And I looked at our plant, which we have a gigantic, huge aloe plant, and I let them know. I said, well, you know, girls, how many times? What about that aloe? How many times have we used that? Well, what if I were to put that into a jar and take it to the store? Well, now it's a drug. You know, now that aloe plant that has helped you with your burns is suddenly a drug. Is that bad? You know, and it was like I was trying to explain to them, the system is not following natural law, and which is natural law is, you know, you can't refute that. I mean, it's just what it is. We're on this beautiful earth that has everything we need for us, everything we need, and we're blowing it big time.
Right. Yeah, we're blowing it because we're letting people who have very bad intentions control everything, and these people are only interested in power.
Yeah, that's what I say. I'm done with them. How many we got? You know, how many enlightened, beautiful people are ready to overtake these people? You know, we have I see it as a gigantic mycelium, and we've got a lot of gangrene going on. You know, green mold that needs to be extinguished.
Right.
Quickly, like real quickly, and if we can't get on it, you know, my only hope, and it's what I see as our savior on the internet, because people are sharing, and real people who are living in a real life, you know, that just want peace and, you know, healthy food and clean skies, and just keep it simple, folks. You know, and those people we've been overwhelmed by pariahs. They've taken over, and it's not cool. You know, I mean, I'm thankful that the Earth's responding. It's tragic. It's horrible. It makes me shake every day. I follow the weather. I follow the weather for my whole life, but now I follow I say OCD, you know, because I'm on the radar every single day, pretty much. You know, unless I'm trying to get a break and not be so crazy. But I think, you know, I'm frustrated. I'm not going to let my children. I'm not going to, you know, are going to know that their mother died trying to, you know, stop what was not okay anymore. You know, how can I have children that don't even know what the regular skies look like? They don't even know.
Well, that's
like,
yeah.
It breaks your heart.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing that people do this. You know, I've met so many great people doing this. You know, my passion is driven from multiple areas, and part of it is that I'm sitting here with my sinuses burning. I have a headache. I've watched people around me suffer.
Sorry for that. Dang it.
What?
I'm sorry for that. Dang it.
Oh, well, you know, the thing is that I look at what, even when bad things happen, there can be good that comes out of it. And this has motivated me. And you know, all these things in our lives, whether they're bad or good, we can let them motivate us and change us for the better if we allow them to. So I've gone through a lot of suffering, and even right now, I mean, it's just I've got a headache, and as soon as the air clears, if it would, you know, it takes a while to clear, but they're just hitting us hard tonight. I don't know, maybe it's the full moon, because I know they like full moons, they like certain days, but they're nailing us tonight. But you know, let me just ask you this. People on the chat room are asking, what do we do? What do we do? And if you want to call and you want to join our conversation, we got a bunch of microphones open. Mark has been sitting quietly there. I've seen him on the console here too. But if anyone else want to call in, call 559-726-1300. And your access code is 156230. And you can get all that from going to globalskywatch.com/live. And then when you call in, just press *6 on your phone, and you'll be put into the QA queue, and I'll turn your mic on and you can chat with us. So please feel free to do that anytime. Would love to have you. Right now we've got a picture that Kim just sent me via Skype. I'm going to guess this is probably Portland. In fact, Kim, this is probably Kim's work that she's doing in Portland, maybe. I don't really know for sure. Let me see if she told me in Skype. But if you're looking at the live stream, you'll see this picture. Yep, a couple photos of our last global event, March Against mainstream media. Uploading now. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. This is the March Against Mainstream Media, probably from Portland or Kim's area. Maybe it's, I'm not sure. Not sure exactly where this was taken, but I'm quite sure it's in Maine. And Kim is at the helm of this. So this is this is a great shot with signs people out there on the road. So what do we got another caller. Stay with us if you'd like to chat. Keep chatting. I'd love chatting with you.
Okay, yeah. I'm curious. Have you heard about MITRE? MITRE?
I have, and I'm trying to pull up in my brain that is all nice and swollen from chemtrails right now what it is. So why don't you remind us?
Yeah, well, maybe I'll just leave it at that, because that's a pretty heavy word anyway. MITRE, the god, MITRE. But if you, I'm one of those, I guess competitor, survivalist. I don't know. I'm extremely competitive, I suppose is the word, and I try to figure out, well, where is the nerve center? What's the nerve center of this whole thing? How can we get in there? It's frustrating. You get on, you see there's a zillion pictures every single day posted of chemtrails every single day. People around the world who are enlightened, but you think, well, yeah, what can we do? What the heck? How can we get to the nerve center of this? And, it's clearly a military operation. So at the same time, though, we are understanding that our strength is pretty mighty as far as not only in the streets, but on the computer.
Yeah.
And perhaps there is a way that we can get in, and we can shut down some of this stuff. I don't, sabotage, I don't know what exactly, but some way to get into the supply, the jet fuel supply, some way to get into the nerve center. That's why I mentioned MITRE, because it is, I would say, the biggest dark horse, Trojan horse that Trojan is not the right word, but dark horse that we could not know about, and as a country we need to, because it is pretty much in control of all of our R&D contracts with all of the military aspects of government, pretty much.
Okay. All right.
They're kind of a steering, like a think tank.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, maybe I'll leave it at that to Google and research on your own, because it's pretty heavy, and I'm amazed that it hasn't really come out too much.
All right.
All right. I would love to see a nerve center being attacked more,
Right.
us from the people.
Well, the people have to wake up and realize that they're being attacked. And I think that one way we can do this is a great way to segue in the conversation is to, how do we wake people up? Because without people, nothing is going to change. Without us being actively involved in doing anything, and people have to realize that that they are being attacked. And I know people who are going through diseases and suffering and all kinds of things, and they have no idea that the things that they're breathing every day cause cancer. We have a new caller who just called in a couple minutes ago. Are you on? I just unmuted you a minute ago. Are you there, caller?
Hi, Ross. It's BJ. How are you?
Hey, I'm hanging in there. How are you?
I'm okay. What's the other gal's name that's been speaking?
Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
You sure do vent gently. I don't.
I know.
Well, saying so.
But to me, I think the head of the snake is the city of London over in England in the banking cartel.
Oh, isn't that? I would probably agree with that.
But who has this kind of money to pull off this kind of an operation? And I think, they're probably profiting somehow.
Maybe going over also into the Ukraine there, the Rothschilds, kind of, that area too. I would put that up there.
Thousands of years they've been at this, trying to control the world and everybody in it. I think this might blow up in their face. They're just pushing it so far to the point of it's almost like a cartoon anymore. Just see through so much and all these storms. I mean, people, come on. And it was a tragedy when the big tsunami over in Indonesia. That was really like the first kind of thing that started the string, and then Katrina and all. But how many times in our whole lives have we seen this kind of thing? And then things are aimed straight for cities and population centers. And well, the Philippines just asked our military to leave. Now they got slammed. And it's just, to me, I just see it as like, you guys up there, I don't know what city you're from, but you got a once-in-a-lifetime, never 1,000-year storm flood up there.
Oh, yeah. No,
It's on and on.
I mean, Carlin, you know, the earth is trying to lick us off like fleas, and I'm glad for it, honestly. I would be done with us, too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't know. As far as, I mean, there's so many things you've talked about while I've been listening. But, Russ,
yeah.
I really don't, I take pictures. And I've been a photographer a long time, not professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they started spraying us here on the Colorado River until about 3 years ago. Okay. And when I look back through photographs, there might be one or two streaks in the sky, like at sunset you'd notice. But we have virtually no air traffic over us either, normal air traffic. And they hit us, they just turned it on one day, and they were here. And it was so obvious even then. But those first couple, actually before I saw that first day, I was tasting it too. And I kept thinking, am I getting sick? I have this like metallic taste in my mouth. And it just wasn't, making me think anything environmental. Kept thinking, there's something in my body going on here. What's this metal? And then shortly after that is when I sat there one morning looking out the window, and here they came. And they were probably at around 20,000 feet, 20,000 feet low, and just streaking back and forth. And I said, that is the chemtrails that people talk about. And then ever since then, it might as well just be a daily thing. And when they don't spray, that's like, wow, whoa, yeah, blue sky. And where I live all winter long, it's usually just blue sky, boring, another beautiful day. And the winter, all winter long, we might have one or two incidences of rain, day, two, cloudy. But no, now it's just every day. And it really did affect me. I was a hairdresser for 33 years. Breathing sprays and nail dust, and so I was already kind of behind the 8 ball. And at the second day after I saw them that morning, I was in the hospital. I could not breathe.
Really?
I told my son, you got to take me to the ER. I cannot breathe.
Well, and can I interject, you guys, another thing? I mean, the suffering of the trees.
Yeah.
After years now, you can see it in their trunks. There's not one tree I don't think I've seen from coast to coast. I've been to California, to Florida, all between. Everywhere you can see it. They're suffering. They're doing everything they can to reproduce if they can. If not, they're falling apart. And then the storms are clear. What once trees could withstand storms, now their core is being so assaulted upon, and now they just break like twigs. I mean, that's what Dane was saying. They get weak, and then the bugs take them, and people think it's the bugs. So we have this beetle problem. If you spend time with trees, if you spend, time, a long time, it'll be so clear to you. It's painful. Oh my gosh, this is everything. I mean, the trees are an indicator, and they're everything for us. They give us everything. And
well, see, now we have to say, well, is it that? Is it all of the cell towers? Is it Fukushima, finishing us off?
Well, personally, I see the fallout from the trails almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. And I see long threads. I film them. I have them. We have them all over the place, all over. Anywhere I go, I can see them because I've looked for them. I understand what they look like. I understand how I need to look in the light to see where they are, and they're everywhere. I've filmed snow, frost. I mean, you've got the colors of the rainbow in there.
Yeah.
All the metals that are in our water cycle, essentially, at this point. And yeah, it could be all kinds of things. However, I know for sure that one thing we could do, if we could stop spraying our earth, I mean, how retarded can we be?
Well, maybe the reason people don't want to look at this is because we can't hand them an automatic thing and say, look, if we all do this, if you get on board with us, power and numbers, we can stop this by doing such and such. And I think that's why we cry, because we don't really feel like we can, because we would have done it by now if we could. I think we would have single-handedly tried to, make some difference. And I mean, I've had little fantasies about shoulder-to-air missiles and stuff.
Yeah, because
I just don't know where
greed that has gripped the earth and death grip. It's like
they've got all the money, though. They're having fun with this. They're having fun with their flags and their storms, and they're just loving watching us twist in the wind.
Yeah.
They are in our face now. It's really ignorant. I mean, I think it's just because they know their weapons are so much bigger than ours that now they're just out there. Oh, yeah,
right.
We killed that guy. Too bad. What are you going to do about it?
Good old fellas. You're right. I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what. Where do we go from here? I mean, the thing is I'm a problem solver, and my mind immediately starts thinking about, we have a problem. What are we going to do? So how do we talk to people? How do we get new people to wake up who may not want to wake up?
Well, it's like so many other things. I just don't think they do until something kicks them in the wallet, or they want to take their gun. I mean, this is good now because it is waking people up. Oh, you want my gun? Oh, what? You took away my health insurance? So it is a big, huge thing that they're actually helping us get people to wake up. But the plan is these things we talk about are so almost unbelievable that that's the other part of it. I mean, yes, we can see the chemtrails. They've changed them, and they've done so much fiddling around with trying to hide it, the way that they do them now. I mean, I'm like you. I say, oh, okay, we have spider webs today. Oh, look at that one. That one's all, dust, and that one's that. I know them all right away, whether they're real or not. Mailman wouldn't even look up one day. I said, there's a plane right behind his head. We're out there talking. He's out every day. And I said, look at that. There we go again. He's like, what? He turns around. I said, they're spraying us in the sky, don't you see those trails? And he just turned right back around and started talking about his daughter's college and where she was going and what. I wanted to shake him and go, did you just hear me? So I really don't know how you could, the flyers are good. If it comes up in conversation, maybe we need some pictures in our purse and just whip them out and say, does this look like anything you've ever seen when you were a kid laying in the grass? But again, I just feel like, do we storm our congressmen? We've already done all those things. They pretend, oh, it's just the contrail. Now, in Australia, they've got a new prime minister that ran on getting rid of their carbon tax over there. They've had the tax for a year. See, this is another part of this, holding up this whole carbon tax bull crap. And the money they want to get out of us for all that, and the Agenda 21. So this is kind of, they're desperate to keep that story going, even though we found out they had lied, Climate Gate and the lies in the emails, and they just act like nothing ever happened. Obama gets up on the stage, oh, this is consensus.
Well, I think, I think one of the important things to realize is that, and I believe you guys realize this, but maybe some of the people listening don't, is that these people don't care. Obama doesn't care. Obama is in on this. He knows what's going on. He's part of the problem. All these presidents, it's not a partisan issue. It's not Republican Democrat issue. It's actually a mystery schools issue. And now you can learn about that when you listen to that 5-part series on Global Skywatch called How the World Really Works under the featured articles section. But what do we do? I mean, what do we do? What are the solutions? We talked about, we got a lot of problems. We know how bad it is. What do we do? And let me just introduce, we've got Tammy on here, Rasico. She's been on with us before. Welcome. Let me turn your volume up here, Tammy. How you doing today?
Hi, everybody.
Tammy.
Hey. So,
hi. Thanks for having me, Russ. Thanks for inviting me on. Hi, everybody.
Oh.
Absolutely. So let's just ask the question round robin style here. Tammy, what do we do? How do you wake people up?
Oh my gosh. Well, knowledge is power, and once you understand kind of what's going on, you can control some things that are affecting your life the best we can. Someone made a comment, I can't remember if it was in the interview you were having or in the chat, but getting out in the public and like one-on-one, like making people aware. It's easier for me because I'm like a walking billboard. I have like the after effects of global chemtrails and GMOs because I'm a Morgellon victim, so it's easy for me to explain, well, yeah, it's my environment making me hyper toxic, and this is why I'm sick. So watch what you eat, be careful what you do, and question everything. And that's pretty much how we have to start it off and put those little seeds in there and just see how they go, because there's going to be something in somebody's life later that's going to affect them, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, and that's what we call an epiphany. And once we get that epiphany, we go from there, and then we start doing our own research, just like myself and many others in my position have been doing, just to get a grasp on anything.
All right, so getting those seeds planted is a big part of, just plant those seeds, and then when people, and I've seen it happen a lot, I think that's a really great point, is that's almost all you can do because people are not going to wake up before they're ready. Is that fair to say?
Exactly. You can't force them. It's like trying to get your kid to do homework and do good in school, and it's not you that does it. It's ultimately them that has to make the decision, make the choices, make the action. And you can't force anybody because it causes resentment. It's going to have to be a process. Because I believe it was you were interviewing you and Dane, and Ann Fillmore had an interview. Was it Saturday, Russ? I think.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
yeah, Ann Fillmore was on this last Saturday on the Geoengineering Watch radio. Yep.
Yes. So I got to listen to the archive to that, and Ann, who's a good friend of mine, mentioned that there's a process, there's steps we go through. And it's just like a grieving process, because first it's like denial. The second step is anger. The third one is you got to blame somebody else. The second one is the actual grief and sorrow and, oh, I feel bad for me and, oh, I'm this. And then the fifth one is recovery and moving on and progressing on and take that next step. And it's an individual process. It can be fast, it can be slow, but it will happen,
Right. Well, what do you think, Michelle? How do we do this?
I agree, and I spend more and more time with the youth, honestly, because I feel like at some point, hopefully there'll be a critical mass of intelligence and energy on the earth that will hopefully, help us pull through these times that, before we fully destroy ourselves. I mean, I feel like at this point we're on the path pretty good, and, it's hard not to stop it. And yeah, you can do stuff to protect yourself and protect your children and grow your own food and cover it and, provide as much energy as you can for yourself, understand what you need to do should things really go down where you have no access to any other sources. And
I agree with you about the kids, like starting them off and making them understand why it's better to have the grapes than that plastic wrappered stuff, nasty stuff, because even though I'm going through what I'm going through, my son and my boyfriend, they get the crap in the Vachons and the Gatorades, and I'm like, why are you eating that when you know? And they look at me and they say, it's good. Oh, you don't get it. You don't want to be me, because of the things I didn't know about at the time. And I ate the Vachons and I had the French fries and I did all the things I thought I was okay doing. Turns out it's not. And this was the end result, because now my body's doing its natural thing and pushing out all these terrible, terrible things.
Yeah. Well,
they haven't made it easy for us to do it.
So Michelle, you talked
and I'm finding, sorry, Russ, to cut you off, but I am finding, because it's been a year I've been really researching this, and there's different things that help for different people, and it all depends on you understanding your body and how it reacts to things, and understanding the pleomorphism and how there's a chain reaction of events, and you have to start healing from the inside out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I'll be dead by the time I got it figured out. I'll be the
I feel the same way, like how frustrating. Oh, if I'd known then what I know now.
Yeah. Well, Michelle, you talked a lot about how we can protect ourselves, but what about what's the best way to approach somebody who may not want to know about this or might be resistant to learning or just to go out in public? Any tips?
I actually go mostly through the creative arts, the healing arts. For me, is the easiest way. Otherwise, my blood pressure gets too worked up. And
that would be hard to tell by the way that you talk. You are a very gentle protester there. You're yeah.
well,
you seem
I love and everybody, of course, around me, and everybody, and it means the world to me. It breaks, like I said, it breaks my heart that we're doing this to ourselves, and that we could probably easily stop it. If we choose to. I mean, it can't be that hard to shut down, illegal, criminal, planes, spraying stuff.
Well, nuke plants and everything
too.
And
I understand the purpose, though. The purpose is, is the ultimate purpose of the weather manipulation. And the power, the allure of that is intense. And I understand that's global. I mean, how could it not be? How could a government not understand that? Oh yeah, we put some highly metallic and magnetic particles into the sky, and then we pulse some EMFs through it, and we can actually push the systems. We can create rain in areas, and we can pull rain away from other areas. We can mess with things. And how could they not be allured into that? Of course they have been.
Well, look how beautiful it could be if they did it for the good instead of the evil.
Well,
yeah, bring rain to Africa and all the proper places for the right reasons. I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, California.
Well, here's something J. Edgar Hoover said. You've probably heard about this, Russ. In 1956, he said, "The individual is handicapped by coming face to face with a conspiracy so monstrous he cannot believe it exists. The American mind simply has not come to a realization of the evil which has been introduced into our midst. It rejects even the assumption that human creatures could espouse a philosophy which must ultimately destroy all that is good and decent." And I think that's one of the things we're up against. It's all these things are so big, and each one is very complicated to explain to people. GMOs or aspartame.
I think people expect to have only one thing attack them, let's say, not a whole bunch of things, that kind of relate and hold hands. And I've always said it's like you've got a recipe with all these ingredients, and once you get the right ingredients together, that final ingredient, then you get the sickness, the illness, or whatever. And it seems like the mechanism of injury for all these things that are happening to us are the air, the water, the food, and the medication, certain medications. And I'm not saying all doctors and medications are bad. No, if I broke my arm, I'm more than happy to go to a hospital. I'm having a problem with the pharmaceutical end of it. That's my issue, especially if you look into history about medical stuff and how it started with Louis Pasteur and the germ theory, and who's the other gentleman? Antoine Béchamp, and he had the pleomorphism theory where you had to watch how the cells and the blood cells acted to determine if there was going to be a change in an illness happening. If you could change the environment of the person, whether it be stress, food, environment, toxins, you could reverse the process of the illness. And he actually did prove that. But the big debate was between Pasteur and Beauchamp was the germ theory or the cell theory. And the germ theory won in the end. And this is what the medical community and pharmaceuticals are based on. So if you got a sickness or disease, they went to their chemist labs and they came up with an invention that involved chemicals so they could treat the symptoms but didn't necessarily cure it. They controlled it, but they knew that you would come back, so that meant they had a steady customer. So you see where it goes from there and how the vicious cycle. And if you do follow the money, it would lead right to people intentionally being sick to the point where myself and many other people like me are feeling the blunt of that.
I agree with you so much. Is that medicine does wonderful things. Crisis medicine is amazing.
Trained in that, I absolutely know. I've saved more than one person's life. Like, the body is an amazing, amazing machine. I've seen it fight for life at the basic level and save people at the most basic level.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's beyond my reasoning how, in the technological age we're in now, we can't cure cancer.
Well,
We can't.
well, yeah.
fix this?
You see, that's not. See, I think the real problem is though is it's public apathy. It all comes
Yeah.
down to public apathy because the cure for cancer is there. In fact, the cause of
There's
cancer.
more than one.
Well, we've got vaccines because these things in here cause cancer. We've got amalgam fillings. I believe the mercury from amalgam fillings. Mercury, people don't realize this causes 200 of the most common diseases in the world. Now that alone, and what have they done? They wrote mercury detox and mercury diagnosis out of the medical uh, curriculum in the 30s. And if you go back and start looking at this stuff was written out. Now, why? Because they knew what they were doing. They understand a business model. People understood business, the Machiavellian business model. You create a problem and then you sell the solution. And people, if you're listening and you've never heard this before, that's what business does when it's evil business. These people who don't have morals, they don't have consciences. That's what happens when these people go into business. And if you don't safeguard your government and keep the feet under their fire, the people who have no conscience are drawn to governments and powerful positions in corporations. That's the way it works. So the problem, I believe, is all about public apathy, and that's why they use that's part of the reason they use mercury and fluoride in the first place. Because fluoride, what does it do? It induces apathy. What does mercury do? It makes you depressed, tired, panicky, fearful, OCD symptoms, hyper. I know because I've been there. I know exactly what mercury toxicity feels like. And you've got all these people struggling with these diseases. It was sundowning. People. I just talked to someone today whose husband has dentures, puts the dentures in, feels horrible all day, takes them out, feels better at night, and they haven't put it together yet. The red coloring in the dentures is mercury. It's cinnabar.
Oh, what?
Yes, this is what sundowning is. People haven't figured this out. You know, I mean, I've had people call me last year, some from the Carolinas and from other states who call me and say, I think we have mercury poisoning. We don't know where it's coming from, right? And so so I talk to them, say, okay, what's going on? What's happening? Do they have dentures? Yes. When did they get? About 3 months ago. When did the dementia set in? 3 months ago or 2 months ago? Really? Okay. Well, dementia is a symptom of mercury toxicity. So mercury alone is an absolute is the cash cow, one of the cash cows. I think the biggest single cash cow of the pharmaceutical industry. So
Now, well, have you seen that YouTube where the guy pulls the tooth and the light is actually steaming? Like it's like smoke is coming up off of this filling in the tooth 5 years later.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, those teeth, those fillings off gas. And guess what? The pharmaceutical companies know this. This is why they produce them. This is why the FDA didn't do anything to stop them. This is why the regulatory agencies are there. They are protecting the cash cow. This is exactly what they do. And they drag their feet as
They
long.
acted like they were here to help us and do good things and watch our food and medicine. And
well, that's the point.
they've all turned rogue. They've all turned criminal and rogue.
Well,
one of them.
Well, I will say this is I believe that they were created for that purpose. They were created to protect the industry, but in the beginning, they act like and they are sold to the people as protectors of the people because that's how they get their funding initially. And then once they're in place, it's really hard to take them away. So
blame the people for not knowing because we were sold a bill of goods. This thing has been so artful. How it has created us to be in that normalcy bias.
Well, that's true, but here's where I come down on the public. Here's where I come down on the public is that I have talked to so many people and they don't want to know. They're willfully ignorant, and that mechanism in their mind, what makes them make that decision that they don't want to know? I think that's the problem. Well, yes, fear, but you know what? That's true, but we all have fear too. But what makes us face it and them not? What is that?
Exactly. I've wondered that. I sent you a little article a few minutes ago, Russ. I've had a couple articles published, and it's called Wake Up America or Sleep Forever. Because why am I like this? Why am I voracious for I'm up till 4 in the morning every night reading. Some article catches my eye. I have to read it.
Right. So what gives some people we face our fears because this is scary. This whole thing is. I mean, I had a heart attack in 2011. I thought I was going to die. I was for the first time in my life, I took an ambulance ride, and I mean, I mean, my I won't get into it, but I mean, it's you think you're going to die. You're sitting there thinking this may be the last thing I see, you know. And this heart attack was caused by chemtrails. And the second night I was there, this was on a Monday morning at about 1 o'clock in the morning, 12:30 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. Tuesday night, they slammed Bangor with chemtrails. Absolutely slammed Bangor with chemtrails. Guess what? My nurse, was a male nurse, was gone for 8 hours. For anybody who's listening, I've told this story before, but if you haven't heard this before, that nurse was gone for 8 hours. My IV alarm was going off. I called the desk because I didn't know what to do about it because there was another guy in the room who had an operation next day, and I was like concerned about all the noise. They said they would send somebody. They didn't. Then I called again, and they said they would send somebody, and they didn't. So I started looking at the panel, and there was a mute button. So I hit the mute button, and the alarm went off for like 10 minutes, and then it went back on. So all night I was up hitting the mute button every 10 minutes. And finally, 8 hours later, my nurse came back, and he said, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened, but everybody is going crazy tonight. I mean, people have respiratory systems. They're having heart problems." He said they called me to other floors. They've called people in. It's crazy. And I was burning to tell him, I know exactly what the problem is. I know exactly because they slammed us with chemtrails tonight. I couldn't even breathe the air. I had my friend bring my wet mask into the hospital room. And when the nurse came in, I'm wearing a wet mask. I've been up all night and I'm pressing the mute button on the IV machine. And it's just, this is what's going on. How many people have died now? And you know what? When I was in there Monday night, they had sprayed the 2 days previously really hard. I couldn't wear my wet mask. That's why I had a heart attack, because I wasn't able to protect myself for 2 days because I was in Bangor all day doing errands both days. And I was in the ICU. They couldn't get me out of the ICU because guess what? All the beds were full. There was no empty rooms. Business.
If we're full of these metals, and then look, I just went on antennasearch.com. There's 9 cell phone towers. 9 within 1 mile radius of me in this little desert town. And it's like, well, what's that doing to the metals that are all in our bodies from the chemtrails?
Well, that was another thing, is that there's a report that I just posted on the news feed for Global Skywatch, that there's a study that shows that if you expose the human body to certain frequencies of electromagnetic radiation, as like from cell phones or cell towers, or there are certain frequencies, or there's certain frequencies that really do this. What they do is they increase the permeability of cell walls, and you can get several times more toxins into a cell when you're radiating somebody at the same time. Now, I hear the HAARP hum 2 nights a week, sometimes 5 nights a week. I don't know if that's the right frequency. I'm not even sure it's HAARP. It's probably from Gwen or the SRS towers or something else. I don't know where it's coming from, but I can drive into Bangor, I can drive back here, and it's in the air the whole time. And I hear it when it turns on. They'll turn it on, it's instantly on. We'll be on all night or a few hours or sometimes several days, and then turn off. Right now it's off. I don't hear it right now. I haven't heard it for a few days, for several days actually.
I hear it in my ear, but it's high-pitched, real high-pitched.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's tinnitus too, because I know mercury causes tinnitus. I believe it has to do with excitotoxicity and inflammation, where it cuts off the blood supply to those little cells in your ear, and those cells start triggering, and it sounds like high-pitched sounds. So you end up having tinnitus. Because when I had mercury toxicity, if you take away the things that methylate, like if you take away sugar and you take away caffeine, it can help make the tinnitus go down, and people don't know the connection. Well, it's not the caffeine or sugar, and it's not the mercury alone. It's when you combine the caffeine or sugar with the mercury that you get the tinnitus.
We keep doing everything that's behind the curve, though. You know, like they're already doing it, so then we got to try to do this mitigation thing, and then something else just comes along, you know. Like when they showed the McDonald's McNuggets with the fibers in, it looked just like Morgellons. I'm like, you gotta be, oh my God, they think it's coming from chemtrails, probably all in the food too.
Well, I think that's part of their plan. I mean, when you read about these people, I've studied these people from what they believe for a long time, and they have things planned out decades in advance, and they know what the public response is going to be, and they already have the mitigation or the answers or the disinformation and the propaganda to counter the public response already ready to go at the time that they're expecting the public response. And that's why this
As well as.
disinformation is so sophisticated. These people are very smart. They understand human behavior better than humans understand themselves. Because people go around saying, "Oh, I'm not deceived." Yeah, you are. You had your life shortened. You've had your health ripped out from beneath you. You've had your IQ lowered. You've had your attitude and your personality dampened by fluoride. You've had all of these things happen to you, and we've all suffered that. But you know what? There's an old saying, and I don't remember exactly where it comes from. It's escaping me, but it says it's much easier to convince people um, to lie to people than to convince people that they've been deceived. If hopefully I'm quoting that right. But that's a principle that you can't it's very hard. People are proud, and you can't be proud. You have to be humble enough to say, you know what, I don't know everything. If you're proud, it's going to block you from learning new things. You just have to be humble and always realize you don't know everything.
Well, what is that? Do people think they're going to die if they're like, yes, I voted for Obama. They told me he was a constitutional lawyer. I hated what Bush was doing. Yeah, I voted for the guy, but I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do everything in my power now to make him still a good person. You know, I mean, because I voted for him, I was going to vote for McCain? No. You know, so, but what's with people? Is it ego, pride?
Well, good question. Michelle, you've been quiet. Do you know what it is? What is that mechanism in people?
Well, actually, I need to cut out and say goodbye, and thank you so much for having me, and I need to go have dinner, but I just wanted to leave by, you're making me think of Plato, and
I need to rub elbows with you so I can calm down, because, even though I know all this, I still get so wound up and angry.
I do too, and that's why I'm on the line. Those who will, those who see beyond the shadows and lies of their culture will neither be understood, nor believed by the masses. And
that's Plato, yeah.
Who we are, and I'd love to, having gone to school at the same school as our beloved Barack, I would love to ask his wife Michelle to compare organic garden notes. Let's leave it that for me. I'd love to find out how that organic garden is going for her, and I'd love to have a real talk. It's funny because I went to the same school. He married a woman named Michelle. That's my name, and our first child, we both named Malia. And so my first daughter's Malia, and they're only a couple years apart. It's been a dream since a few years back, before everything really started unfolding and unraveling. But at the time was, we're going to go visit these guys. This is our hero family in D.C. and they're going to come and they're going to say hello to us. And now it's like a twisted horror mystery tale. I don't even know how to describe to my
one of his gravest things he's done against us was to stand there and say, there's no danger of Fukushima coming here. He specifically, don't take protective measures other than to stay informed, in which they promptly blacked out the whole thing on the news. Don't do any protective measures. What?
Well, Michelle, I know you have to go. Is there any final thing you want to say?
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you.
And I agree, yeah.
Michelle, I really enjoyed listening to you. You had a lot to say. Very smart lady, and thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great night. Have a great dinner.
Guys, thank you. My heart's pounding.
Have a good dinner and nice holidays.
Thank you guys too.
Take care.
All right, thank you, Michelle. We need to have Michelle on here and give us lessons on how to have her demeanor while your heart is pounding like that. Because I don't.
On geoengineering watch is Earth Leo, because that's as my YouTube name is Earth Leo, which is just because I'm a Leo, and but I love Leo because it's law enforcement officer, Earth law enforcement officer is who I am, and and so I will definitely check in again with y'all, and I really appreciate just the enlightened conversation. It's really important for everybody.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. It's been great speaking with you. I hope you call in again.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. All right.
Thanks to you all, Tammy.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Whoops. Kim just called in. Kim, I'm sorry. Let me add you to the conference. Let me just call you right back. Okay. All right. Let me do that, and I'll add her to the conference. That way we can have everybody here together. Why is that button not there?
Not there when you need it. That's for sure.
Oh, let me take. Nope. Oh shoot! Now I cut off. Okay, I'm just clicking too fast here. So let me get Tammy back here. All right, and we'll probably end before too long. Sorry about that, Tammy.
That's okay.
You
I
did
it
it.
to myself
I know.
earlier.
I know you did it earlier. And I did it now. So let me get Kim on here too. I know Kim's got some things. Kim gets fired up.
How long do you usually go, Russ?
We have gone long periods of time. It's that there's no limit really, but I'm trying to keep our length sane because we've gone often for 3 hours or 3.5 hours. So
yeah, I'd like to think we're really getting something accomplished. And like you say, what is it? What can we do?
yeah. All right. Well, I'm trying. Let me get this. Let me see. Kim, are you with us?
Hi, I'm with you.
Oh, you are there. Great. Okay. Well, let me get Tammy's video stopped, but she should.
Yeah. Oh, did it stop?
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, bugger.
Yeah. Well, you're there. That's fine. Either way.
I don't have Skype Premium, so I don't get the video option. I apologize.
No, we had video the whole time though.
Yeah, but apparently if I'm in a group conversation, no video.
Oh, that's the catch. Now I'm learning.
That's the catch. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm a Skype newbie too. I don't do it often, so I'm learning as I go.
Okay. Well, if anybody else wants to join in, we'll keep going here for another 20 minutes and then probably call it quits for the day. But if you want to call 559-726-1300, access code 156230, and I'm sure nobody got that. So if you want to get it, go to globalskywatch.com/live, and all the phone numbers are there. We have local numbers for like 15 countries, including the United States, of course. So please feel free to call in. So Kim, what's going on?
I was just interested in what everyone was saying when they were saying, well, what do we do? What do we do? And so that's kind of why I wanted to send those pictures to you, because we, a local group of ours has been gathering every single week, actually. We do our own local protest right here in southern Maine. It started out just me by myself. I was doing it all alone. And then I had my daughter joining me, so I had another person to hold signs. I was making big yard signs and clipping them to the baby stroller and holding one of them. And I was using a laptop to do the filming of it all. And then I found out, yeah, I mean, I felt silly at first, but I had people cheering me on that were, from the Global Skywatch Facebook group and some different friends, and they're like, you know what, that takes a lot of courage to go do that, and I guess it does.
But it does. It does.
Don't you find Michelle, right?
Michelle's gone. This is
Kim.
Sorry,
Kim. Sorry, my mistake. I'm terrible for names. But don't you find that once you do make that first big step, there's people of like mind, and aren't you surprised? It's like, oh my God, they get it.
Yes, that's what I was just say. I found a friend that was that worked in Brunswick it's a town 45 miles from here. I won't really say where it's at, but anyway, I found a friend 45 miles away that they were doing weekly protests too, and we ended up meeting at a global protest. So we ended up, everyone just started talking to each other, and everyone just started getting to know more and more people. And my point being is, if you don't go out there the first time, you might not go out the second time, and you might not meet anyone the third time. So I always try to encourage people, if you want to go out and you're all by yourself, go out. If you're not a public protest kind of person, there's other things you can do, like some of the signs that I take are styrofoam signs. I buy them from the foam board at Dollar Tree. I buy markers and paint. And I make these signs that have to do with whatever is going on at the time, and I put them in the windshield of my vehicle while I'm parked doing groceries. Or one example I did was, I think I had one for the Monsanto March that said, why is the world's largest pesticide king so in charge of food production.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to put that on my windshield every time it was on my windshield 7 days a week, basically. I'd go in, buy groceries, leave it there. Throughout the day, I'd carry it with me. I had my end geoengineering sign that I kept with me during the month of July and August for the global march against chemtrails and geoengineering. And so those are kind of some of the little bit more quiet things that people that aren't quite the public person, they may not want to expose their own face. They may not want to have their name out there. But those are just some little things that a person can do to get motivated. And the story worked out great because the person that I ended up hooking up with, who also did protests, lives in the same area as me. And we started doing protests together, just me and her and my little girl. And before we knew it, more and more people were joining us. And so we've had a band of maybe anywhere from 4 to 12 people. We've been linking with each other, communicating with each other, letting each other know what events are coming up. Some of them have been global. We did March Against Corruption on November 2nd. We did the Million Mask March, which was the Anon deal that they did in D.C. on that day. We went to our town in southern Maine. It was a really good turnout. Then we had the March Against.
You have been busy.
Every weekend.
More people? Is there more people every time now?
Yep, we have like a core group of people that are doing, like, we'll work, some of us can work on flyers, others. One of the things I do is if I know we're going to do a global protest, I'll make a sign the night before that says the protest name. For example, March Against Corruption. That was one of the ones we did first week of November. So I'll write that name, write the date and the location, and I'll go out and I'll put yard signs and just stick them downtown, all different areas. So that next morning, people will see the yard signs. They'll know there's an event going on. But I try to take it to the extreme. I'll actually put a yard sign and tape it to the back of my truck.
Parked down by the highway, right? Wow, that's really great.
I took my sign says "Follow me to Portland, Maine."
Wow,
it's name, and it goes all the way across the whole tailgate, so it's like 4 feet long. It says, "Follow me to Portland, Maine for a gathering of like-minded people talk about local issues," or something. I keep it simple, but the big point is follow me to Portland, Maine, Market Square.
We could do a business. There's 52 of them, There are items to protest. Oh, man.
Well, Kim is very brave. I remember a while back you put flyers into the shopping carts of all the shopping carts in some shopping center, and then they kicked you out, right?
Oh yeah.
that was brave.
Better to say ask for forgiveness than to be than mission, right?
I mean, I thought I was doing good because first I stuck them in all the grocery carts on the end, and then I went in because I was talking about chemtrails in my flyers, and it has to do with upper respiratory issues, and a lot of people are having lots of physical symptoms. So I went straight to the cold and flu section and put some there. Then I went to the get well cards. I put some there, but a guy caught me. He's like, "We cannot have solicitation in our store, ma'am. You'll have to wait here." And management came over, and they're like, "You cannot do solicitation." I said, "This is not solicitation. I am not selling goods or services."
Right. That's good for you.
So anyway, they're like,
I mean, my luck, I'd get tased or something. And, one of the things, I don't know if you've ever heard of Deborah Tavares. She thinks that some of this cop mania brutality is that they're all loaded down with that tetra band stuff, all their electronic phones and microphones and all, and they're wearing it all on their bodies. And that stuff, I guess you can have violent reactions and everything from, cell phone, but they've, times 20 on them, and that it causes outbursts and violence. I thought maybe that was part of it, besides being on steroids and having Israeli training.
Well, part of it could also be that a lot of police officers are bigger guys, And bigger guys tend to be high testosterone. And guess what? High testosterone people tend to have less glutathione. And if you have less glutathione, you can't get rid of heavy metals or other toxins in your body very well. And that leads to, like, for instance, mercury toxicity, which of course has fits of rage and panic and hyperactivity. So that could play into it as well.
I have the sheet with me in case I get pulled over. Give the cop, maybe he'll cut me a break. Say,
Yeah.
look, do you know how much you're hurting yourself? Do you know what you're being exposed to? Do you have any clue?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the other thing. So much of this is like invisible to us, like say the mercury and this sort of thing, and we just don't even. We are totally under attack. We are bombarded, literally.
Yeah, people. If people had the sense of smell and taste that I have, this would be not tolerated. People could not handle this. I can't sleep at night. I have to sleep during the morning and early afternoon, specifically because they spray us much harder at night, and I cannot sleep while they're spraying this stuff. So, why don't we hop back on this subject a little real quick? I mean, Kim, you want to talk about your event, invite people to come down, or give us any other info about it?
Yeah, that would be great. We basically gather every Saturday. We try to have a brainstorm meeting at some point before Saturday, at some point during the week. We'll talk about what is the most urgent issue that's taking place this week. And we were kind of already along the lines. I'll give you an example. We were concerned about the government corruption because, as you guys know, a month ago, the big scare with the EBT food system, cards being shut down. Right when that happened, actually 2 days before that happened, our governor declared state of emergency, civil unrest, and that got us a little bit concerned because out of all 50 states, our governor was the only one that declared civil unrest. Civil unrest could be any type of situation to basically give him an override over all state and federal laws, including city ordinance and everything else. So we were like, well, I'll speak for myself. I was freaking out going, what is this? Then the EBT food card system shut down for, I think, about 48 hours. So I'm thinking, oh, gee, you declare civil unrest before there's even civil unrest. This is corrupt.
Oh, they knew.
So
they knew they were going to do that.
Yeah, and then I'm going, what's going on? And then I find out about the next event. It's going to be the power grid drill. The National Power Grid shutdown drill was supposed to take place for a certain date in November, and we're all like, that's not good. Drills don't usually turn out good when they happen in the United States. Generally, if they say drill, then you see the real story on CNN, filled with a bunch of actors, of course. So we started thinking, wow, anybody else thinking like this? So somebody, I don't know which person in our group, but somebody found out that there was a global march against corruption, and there was literally thousands upon thousands of people all over the nation that were gathering and went out. So I'm feeling like people are making a difference. They are waking up more people. If anybody is interested, if you live in this area, there's a Facebook
on the internet. If they try to shut this down, and they're doing a real good job of eliminating, not necessarily killing, but eliminating people off the radar screen here. And so they're coming down hard every way they can right now, tricking people by sending them child porn and putting it on their computers. A lot of talk show hosts are getting troubles, interruptions. So they're really desperate to shut down our communications here.
Yeah. Well, do you want to give your dates, times, or how people can find you there, Kim?
Yes. There's a couple of different groups that we have. A friend of mine that has been involved with me for a while doing activism, she has a group they call Wake Up Maine, MAINE. It's a group that she's been posting upcoming events. There's also the global I'm going to be taking part in the global march against chemtrails and geoengineering. So my group is called March Against Chemtrails and Geoengineering, Maine. So those are the two groups. And then there's a third group called, it's going to sound funny, but it's called Awareness Train. And it's also on Facebook. I'll type it into the chat. It's called Awareness Train. And what I do is I basically, since I've been doing photojournalism, is I upload and catalog all the photos from all the events. And people, if you're participating in events in your state at the same time that we're participating in our events, I would want to add you to the Awareness Train page so that your photos can go in with ours. It's not a group, it's a page. It's just like any of the global events that you'll go to. You don't become a member. You just basically go to the page and like the page. Then you can upload photos and exchange event information as much as you want to.
That sounds great. Well, I post a lot of things on a website called, well, it's Facebook, A Sheep No More. And this girl has like 250,000 followers. So you can stick something on there. It's open.
So how do people find that site? What is it called?
It's called A Sheep No More.
It's a Facebook group?
Oh, we're very familiar with them.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm on that group too. I like it. They have some really good posts and really good information, and there's always links that I follow that I can learn more.
Oh, yeah.
Good, okay.
And there's some really good cartoons every now and then too that I get a good chuckle out of.
Gotta laugh once in a while, huh?
Yeah, you have to, I tell you. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's 10:40 here on the East Coast. Probably better wind it down pretty quick. And I just appreciate everybody being on and sharing information. If you're listening to this and you don't know about geoengineering and chemtrails, please learn, because even if you have no interest in being an activist, you need to protect yourself and your family. And if you don't know this is going on, then you have no idea how to protect yourself. So please learn about it. You can go to, let me give you some websites you can go to. Our website is globalskywatch.com. Another, actually probably the biggest website out there is geoengineeringwatch.org. That's geoengineeringwatch.org. Actually .com. I think the .org forwards to the same site. So geoengineeringwatch.com. Aircrap.org is another one. And if you want to see a link, let me tell you what. Let me put this up on the Skype real quick. If you go to the Global Skywatch website, for those who are watching the stream, you can click here on our website. There's a link called links to active websites right here. And if you look at this, if you're looking at the stream, we've got a really comprehensive list of chemtrail-related websites, and they're categorized by country, by continent, country, and state or province. So come check that out, and you can maybe find somebody in your area and meet up with them and try to get something going. So you can click on any of these links and find it.
All need to get together and then secede.
Well, you know, I would love that. I think the step number one of that plan is the tough part, is getting together. I mean, so many people are in denial about what's going on. They don't want to know. They want to stay willfully ignorant. And I just kind of view that as at the core of this whole thing. You know, and I know part of it's chemical. I know part of it's pride. I know part of it's fear. There are different reasons.
Well, a lot of it too is you just really don't want to fathom someone could do this to you. Because I think you and I discussed this before, Russ, when we first figured out something was really wrong. Like when I figured out I had Morgellon, I cried. I was like, somebody died. I was grieving, and it was horrid, but I knew, because I always knew something was wrong, but you could never quite put your finger on it until other people started telling things, and you start relating things in your life, and it's like, oh my God, this makes sense, especially in my condition with Morgellon, when you go through all the processes and all the things you've been trained and taught to do with the medical professionals, see the specialists, get the biopsies, and then when they don't have the answers, suddenly it's your fault. and you got to deal with this. And it's like, no, 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 no. I will not accept that. There is more to this than that because, well, personally, in my experience with the emergency medical background I have, this is way beyond normal and natural. Like with the time, effort, money, medication, professionals, I should not be in this condition. And then to find out I'm not the only one floored me. And to find out there's thousands of people suffering all over the world. And then finding out it's all chemtrail induced. Our oxygen has now been labeled carcinogenic as of October this year. Russ, I think I sent you the link for that. I don't have it available.
Oh.
But yeah, an independent study has labeled our oxygen carcinogenic. So our oxygen has all been replaced by chemicals and aluminum, barium, strontium, lithium, desiccated red dried blood cells and viruses and more. Unbelievable that it's been allowed, and the policies that were put in place to protect us aren't protecting us because it's all about the money game. Sorry, someone was going to say something?
From MRSA, and after a while, we got all the MRSA stories. And this thing is so awful and horrendous. I thought, you know what? I think this was made up. Because doctors were even saying, we don't know where this came from. Why all of a sudden this came now? And, people take too many antibiotics. Well, they were probably doing that for a long, long time.
Yeah, you're right. They justify it. It's either your genes, it's your age. Oh, you're going through the change. They justify it with everything. And this is why it's so confusing because the illnesses, injuries, and changes relate to something similar but not quite similar. So it's really confusing and really hard to determine. And I think that's part of the beauty of the plan because there's no liability. You can't follow it down to one basic thing like we normally are used to doing. It's a tangent of many, many things.
That's another one that needs a bomb dropped on the complex because of what they did to you guys, 2
well,
years.
I'm going to have to, I just have to say that I have to disclaim when people talk about violent things that Global Skywatch does not endorse any violence whatsoever.
Oh, I know.
So I know you know that, but the public needs to know. I know it's a very hot subject, and it's a crime against humanity, and what they're doing are terrible things. But we don't as an organization condone anything violent. We want people to educate people is our goal about what is going on, and then people need to get together and find solutions for all this. So I
think we win the battle, Russ, by just being informed, spreading the word, understanding what's going on, and making a change. Because if you can understand it and control some aspects of your life, you win because you know. And me, I'm terrible because I'll be in the grocery store in my organics aisle, and the grocery boy will be there, filling the aisle, and I'll say, hey, do you know what that product information code stands for? Do you see that 9 number in front? 9 means that's fine, that's organic. But if that number is an 8, you're going to hate that because that's GMO. That's going to get you sick. Look at me. This is the result. I'm a walking billboard of what happens if you don't take care of what goes in your body. Because if I'd have known then what I know now, and I do this with my 13-year-old son, I'm saving you, don't eat the chocolate bar, and he gives me that,
you're another one
Mom, and don't embarrass me in front of my friends, Mom, or, I know you think it's poison, Mom, but, you can't force them, and you got to let them make the choices, but at least that little seed of awareness is there, and there's going to be some point in life where they're going to use it themselves or they're going to relate it to a friend. Or, you know how it goes, the tumbleweed effect or snowball effect.
Yeah. Well, I hope.
I do apologize, Russ. I do get frustrated. I have COPD and I'm on oxygen, and I can't really get out there and about doing things like that. And I really wish I could. I just find other ways to try to hook up and put people together and, that kind of thing. So I feel compromised and more frustrated probably than, other people would be. But
I totally relate to the frustration because in the 5 years I suffered with the lesions of the Morgellons, I couldn't go out. People looked at me funny. They thought I was burned in a fire, my boyfriend was abusing me, or I was doing it to myself. And you get the feeling from everybody that it's just gross. So you isolate yourself and you get mad at the world. How dare the world dump this on me? What did I do to deserve this? And we have to realize it wasn't really us. But I understand how you can't get out and how frustrating it is because, oh, do I have bad days some days? But I know those days don't last. And I know that someday there's going to be something will happen in my condition and my case for many others, but it never lasts. There's always something good come out of something bad. There always has to be because for every action, there's a reaction. Everything is ambiguous. One word has two meanings. One action has two reactions sometimes, depending on the environment. But do you understand what I'm saying? You know? So I understand the anger. I understand the venting it. And sometimes it's really nice to just think about it, but not act on it. Because yeah, I've been there. But thank you for expressing yourself and being concerned and caring and wanting to make the difference. Because even if you can't go out and about and do it, being on Facebook, being on your groups, just chatting with family members, relating it to something like, hey, I heard, and then just bring it up like that, not say, just because I say you shouldn't eat that chocolate bar and, that's how it goes, you get the resentment. So if you got to know the person and a progressive kind of thing.
Yeah,
okay, I just so off tangent. I just pulled
along the way. I mean, recently I got involved in kind of the Extortion 17 story about the Navy SEALs that were killed, 22 of them at once over in Afghanistan, and they were put up. I mean, they were set up, whatever. And they families have been like the Pat Tillman, story, that what that family went through trying to get to the truth. These people need some answers, and so we just splashed it all over, independent media and then internet. And guess what? We finally forced the Washington Times they did a big story about it. But this was before Benghazi. I'd always heard about Benghazi, and we finally forced the mainstream media into covering this thing.
Well, it's a
travesty what happened there.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I think that people, if you're listening to this and you're learning about this subject for the first time, or you're just getting on board with this, you have to understand that alternative media is your best source of news, and alternative media is doing a remarkable job at forcing mainstream media to start covering stories they wouldn't have covered before. I've talked about this several shows ago in detail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing that alternative media is doing, and alternative media is getting better and more professional and more refined. And if you watching mainstream media, I will tell you from my own personal experience, because I worked with a small political party years ago, and that's when I saw mainstream media lie on a daily basis. They twist, lie. I mean, people, you have no idea. Almost every story that's run, not every story, but so many of the stories that are run on mainstream media have an absolute agenda, a goal, a business goal, a money-making goal, a disinformation goal, and they lie every single day about something. So beware of that. Now listen, we got to wind down. We've got to wind this down. Let me give you three have been our final troopers here at the end of this. So let me give you three a final word, and we'll wrap this up, and then we'll have after talk. If you haven't joined us before, after talk is where I turn the mics on and set you all free and let everybody chat for as long as you want to on the console. If you want to call in, go to globalskywatch.com/live and get the phone numbers from any of about 15 or 20 different countries there, including the U.S. phone number. And then everybody can chat afterward. But let me just start with BJ. Why don't you go ahead and give me your final word. What do you want people to know?
Oh dear. We need each other, and we need to stay close with each other as much as we can. Because everything's trying to divide everyone up.
Yeah.
Doing everything. And
One love.
I don't turn the TV on anymore. I just can't stomach it. I can't do it. So don't turn your TV on unless you want to know what the enemy's up to, because they won't tell you unless they purposely want you to know what is going on.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
All right, Tammy. Tammy, what do you want to tell people?
Oh, well, Russ, I just want to say thank you for having open mic night. I think this was just awesome opportunity for a lot of people to vent and stress some points. Um, just want to say my article came out recently. It's gone over really, really well. I've had a lot of people join the Morgellon Much More Than That group. That's doing really well.
What is that again?
Oh, I have a Facebook group called Morgellons Much More Than That. I have over 300 members right now, and I started it last year because that's when I got really, really sickest. I knew I was really close to death. I had to stop working. I could no longer teach anymore. And as a last kick of the can, I started this journey to discover Morgellon and what was making me sick and try and find answers that nobody else seemed to be able to find for me. And did I find answers? And with all the research I did within this year, it actually has been a year. November 14th was my last day of work, officially a year now. So within this year, I learned so much. I actually wrote an article in positivehealth.com, and they published it. It's gone over really well, and they'd like me to do another article, but it really explains a lot of what I found and how the body is affected by our environment, geoengineering, the hidden frequencies and stuff, the microwaves and stuff, and how it all affects us at a totally biological level. So that was really interesting to research and finding so much information on there with my references. I have Russ's Global
Publication
Skywatch
was it?
links in there. Sorry?
I'm sorry. What publication was that in?
That was positivehealth.com. It's a prestigious online medical journal.
Okay.
And they had asked me to write an article about how geoengineering affects people and more than likely causes Morgellons. It's one of the contributing factors because if you weaken the biology of the person, you can easily introduce other problems and illnesses. So I don't have enough time to explain it now, but it turned out really well. It's 1,500 words. I can only put so much information on so little, but it turned out really well with some pictures. The group Morgellons Much More Than That on Facebook. I have another one, GMOD, GMOD, genetically modified organism disease, because the genetically modified organisms are also a major contributing factor of, I believe, the Morgellon condition and the toxicity itself, because so many people have different varying levels of the condition and produce different things out of their sores. Yeah, there's going to be a follow-up. But anyway, the whole thing was my journey of discovery to find out what I could do to fix myself. And on discovering and knowledge, I have been able to turn things around. I am getting better. I do understand. And Russ, you see me on video tonight. You must have noticed there's been an improvement on the sores in my face.
Right.
Sorry?
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah, like everybody's saying, oh my God, Tammy, you're looking great. I saw a friend today before the show and she's like, wow, I see an improvement. And I'm like, it's all the naturopath. It's cheap. It's costing me less than $60 a month, including the organic sulfur she gives me. I'm seeing progress, which I've never seen in any of the professionals I've seen before in the 5 years previous to finding the naturopath. And I'm not doing anything else different because I want to see how far I can take the naturopathy before I introduce something else, because I want to make sure that I'm doing this right and it is the inside out.
Right.
And once I get my body stronger and my organs back up to par, because I was very, very damaged. I had the heart palpitations. Like you, Russ, I had the heart attack. I do have 2 stents in my right coronary. I had chronic high blood pressure, didn't sleep nights, nightmares, swelling, bloating, irritable bowel. It's all gone. Organic eating, no GMOs. I don't eat anything out of plastic. I follow the advice of my naturopath, and as I get stronger, I will go up next stages. The next stage actually right now is I can have 4,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Once I get stronger to that, then I can start detoxing my liver and kidneys, because that's a process. If you do it too much or don't do it right, you get this thing happen called the Herxheimer process, where you have a massive die-off of either parasites, viruses, or organisms, and it clogs your arteries and damages your kidneys and liver and organs, and can cause heart attacks and strokes. And I don't want to cause more damage than what I've gone through, because 5 years of the torture and almost dying is enough. Thank you very much. I'm done being a guinea pig, and I'm done having people telling me I've done this to myself. No, 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 no. I'm smart enough and I was well educated enough to know what I needed to stay healthy. It's not my fault that the things I was told to take care of myself were manipulated to, in fact, hurt me. So I have
Can I
changed
suggest
all that.
one more thing for you?
Sorry?
Last night I just went online and ordered, well, they're called Stetterizer filters for dirty electricity in your house. Because with these antennas all this around me, and I've always felt this apartment I moved into was hot. And my daughter recently really had some issues with numbing hands, pain in her hands,
yeah, that's potassium deficiency. That happens because the particulates in the air are denying your body of the potassium you need, because certain things, our bodies have a perfect balance of things. And if
they don't, if we're doing the dirty electricity thing now, and everybody's got dirty electricity in their home. And their wiring, it goes bed springs, everything. So
your pH balance also has a lot to do with that too. That's why it's so important to start from the inside out.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tammy, why don't you give us your content or your group once again so everybody can hear it.
Sure. Okay, I'm on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Tammy Racicot, spelled R-A-C-I-C-O-T. I have a group called Morgellons, much more than that. I also have a group, GMOD, Genetically Modified Organism Disease. I've recently just published an article, November the 7th, in Positive Health Online, called Morgellon, the M word you've never heard. They changed the title on me, and I've forgotten the title, but it has Morgellon in it, or the M word you've never heard, and by myself. So read up on that. It's a short article, but there's a lot of reference points, and I hope it makes sense. It doesn't explain a lot of Morgellon. I'm more explaining how Morgellon is affecting us, because Morgellon seems to be one word to group together a whole bunch of problems. And that just is a justifiable way to say, oh, you're crazy, it's just in your head, and it's not what's going on here.
Very good. All right, well, good. I hope people will contact Tammy or become a member of her group and learn about this, because I think this is going to become epidemic.
It is.
Yes.
It's pandemic. It's all over the world, and it's all ages, and it's all animals. Like, I've got pictures of polar bears with skin issues. Sorry?
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, people say you got to step up and get out there. Well, I can't leave my house because of skin issues. It's hard to put a coat on, especially now it's wintertime. It's hard to be out in the sun. The sores and lesions are huge. Well, they were. They've gotten so much better, but they were huge. It was just impossible to move. But I've put myself out there, and I'm showing the world that you may look like me right now, and there's help. You don't have to hide in the corner.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
You still there? Tammy, you still there? Oh, Tammy.
There's more than me.
Oh, there you are. Okay, good. All right, wonderful. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that. I would encourage people, take a look at your screen if you're on the live screen, and if you go to the globalskywatch.com website, right up here, there's a Global Skywatch radio link, and this brings you to the whole section of our website dedicated to this radio show. And then over on the left, you can see a link for previous shows. Click on that, and if you look through here, you'll see that on October 14th, we had an exclusive interview with Tammy called Morgellons, the Sequel. Just click on that link, and here it is, and you can listen to audio or video from that show, and you can really get educated and learn a lot about this subject, because we went into some depth about it. Yeah,
that was a great show. Your show's a 3-hour show, and I was online for 4 hours and 20 minutes because we did an after talk, and it lasted over an hour. It just went over so well.
That's yeah, it's awesome. There's a lot of important information, and I think this is going to be the Morgellons issue is much larger than people realize, and it's going to be hugely known eventually, and people need to learn about it. But thank you so much, Tammy. I do want to
Yeah, anytime, Russ. Because when this first started, and I was like, "Oh my God, Mo, you were one of the first people I got to talk to about this," and that's when I learned about chemtrails, and that's when I first learned about HARP, and that's when I first learned about GMOs. So you do have a lot to contribute to what I started, and it's kind of good that I've run full circle. And look at me, here I am, and you and I can have a really good conversation about the things that are happening, and we get it, especially when we were talking about the iChip and the paradigm with the new wave of wireless. So, and I'm so glad somebody got that, because I've been screaming about that for a while, and everybody ignores me, and you got it, and I was so thankful for that. So yeah, I'm really glad and honored to be here.
Oh, well, that's great. It's my pleasure, my honor, and people, I hope you're listening to Tammy and check out her group and learn about this, because this is huge. These are very big
Worldwide.
issues, and mainstream media and mainstream medicine is not dealing with this, but people are being forced to deal with it, and we need to know, we need to know, we need to know. That's what this alternative media is all
Yeah.
about. All right, I want to give Kim the final word tonight. I do want to say real quick, Dan's on the chat room, and he made a statement a little while ago. He said that's why the government is pushing the fairness doctrine on the internet and TV. And he was responding to when we were talking about how what they're really going to do is try to quash alternative media. So Dan was posted that to let us know that the fairness doctrine is not fair at all.
No.
The fairness doctrine is all about shutting up the truth so that the lies will prevail. And so, if anybody, you're out there listening, I hope you get involved and try to make sure that these laws don't pass, and if they do pass, that we turn them around.
Yeah, it's like the new TPP that they're trying to do, the Trans-Pacific Pipeline or whatever. It's the same idea. They want to control all that as well.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Russ.
No, go on, finish.
Yeah, it all relates exactly to what Dan is saying as well. It's all a matter of controlling the media and then controlling the countries, because they can dictate exactly everything. They've got everything in the crosshairs, your medicine, your employment, anywhere you go, whatever. Like, that's all part of it. They can control all of it, and
Right.
it's just terrible. I can't believe we're in the age we are now. You know, everybody said, "Oh, that's never going to happen." Well, guess what? It happened. You know, all these people said, "Oh, it's not going to happen in my lifetime." It's your lifetime now. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what are you really going to do? And if it's not your lifetime now, it's your child, it's your grandchild. It's here, it's now.
Yeah, it is. It's happening right now. And I said this at the very beginning of this program, is you're facing it right now. If you're listening to this program, you're listening to information you will not hear on mainstream media. And there's thousands of great programs out there you can listen to and get great information from. I would prefer not to do this because I have so many things in my life I have to do, but I have to do this. I'm very convicted to do this right now. So I'm doing what I believe I should do.
Yes.
And Tammy is taking her time to get the information. Kim is taking her time to get the information. BJ is out there getting information out. We're doing this to try to help the public. So if you've been resistant to hearing this information, or you have friends or family who are, try to get them to listen to some alternative news and start putting the pieces together, and try to keep from being afraid to listen to this kind of stuff. Because even though it's scary, there's a lot of people waking up, and we're going to go through this whether you listen to it or not, and you'd be much better off being informed going through these difficult times than being uninformed. It's very important to be informed, because otherwise you're going to be blind and lost like everyone else, and it's going to be a bad scene. So you need to be prepared. So let me give Kim the last word tonight. Kim has done incredible work here in Maine. She's a trooper. She does things that
busy lady. Like, oh my God, kudos, lady. I bowed down to you. I wish I could be as busy as you. Unbelievable.
Yes, Kim spins 14 plates at the same time and gets kicked out of shopping centers while being friends with everybody at the same time. I don't know how she pulls this off. And has a personal life as well. So I honestly don't know how she does it. I think there's probably 3 Kims, and she's just pretending to be one person. But
what a spitfire! Holy.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's all yours, Kim. So final word. What do you want to say?
Oh God, that's funny. I have 14 plates. They're spinning right now. Hold on, I gotta go catch one.
Yeah, she's quick too.
Yeah. I mean, these issues are really severe, and there's just so much. I'm finding that my approach is a little bit off the chart, but I'm seeing, I'm meeting different varieties of people along the activism. I call it my awareness train. I'm on a train. It's about awareness, and we're heading somewhere. And I figure, you know, once I woke up and I realized, I started out as a weather observer, and I started getting frustrated because of several days of torrential downpours when I wanted to go visit my friend's horse, or I was trying to plan for outdoor stuff. And it's like, geez, what's going on? I just kept watching and watching and watching. And I started seeing all this crazy stuff going on all my weather sites that I check out. I'm like, what is this? What the hell is this? And then I ended up hitting weather activist people on Facebook, and then they started talking about chemtrails and spraying us. And I'm like, I'm freaking out. What are you guys talking about? What do you mean they're spraying you? Who's spraying you? What's going on? And they started telling, you know, sharing their information. They're saying there are planes that are spraying us. And I'm like, no way. They're like flying over you and dumping stuff out the back. And they said, yes, that's what they're doing. So I was just one of those people that I don't just believe anything somebody tells me. So the more I investigated, of course, the more I realized, oh my God, first of all, this sucks. And two, what can I do about it? And, you know, and that's the people I'm trying to reach, is the ones that are sitting there going, well, what can I do? There's nothing I can do. I'm going to give up. I can't do this. I'm tired. I want to watch the game. I'm hungry. I want to do this. I want to do that. Well, it doesn't do any good. I've heard every excuse known to man. And I fight every excuse. I have none. Because when you realize how bad this could actually get, and it's bad enough right now, there are people that are, I know right now there are people that are listening right now that are literally holding their tongues. It's that bad. When it gets this bad, it could get worse. And I don't want it to get worse. And that's the reason why I'm as motivated as I am, because I've seen little glimpses of the future. I've seen how bad this could get. Vivid dreams and just thoughts and feelings and quick flashes that have come to me. Even my child has come out with stories that she'll just tell me about certain things going on. Like, for example, she told me one day about, she described this horrible flood. She gave me details about a policeman standing on a rock. All this stuff was going on. I called her school. I was so upset. I'm like, what are you letting my child, are you exposing kids to world news? Because that was the first major tsunami a couple of years ago. My daughter described it to a T. And they're like, no, we don't expose children to any television whatsoever. So I started realizing, if somebody as young as 6 years old is waking up, and I'm waking up, and I'm able to open my mind enough to listen to what everyone has to say, there's going to be others. There'll be others. And I want to reach those people. So instead of focusing on the negativity, the why I can't, the why I won't, the reasons I'm not going to do it, I focus more on, what can you do? There is something you can do. If you're physically not able to go out, you can do other things. You can, we do this thing we call weekly truth slap. If there's an event going on, I'll go through all the major websites. I'll post the event information on all 3 major networks, Facebook groups, on their Facebook pages. I'll post our event there. I'll save the URLs to those pages, and then I'll go and I'll pass it off, and I'll say, here you go. Here's 4 links. Here's our media. Let's truth slap the media. Because we've decided that we're going to become our own media. That's one thing I was relating to when you guys were talking earlier. Alternative media is you and me. It's me going to protest, taking pictures and sharing them. It's me finding those photos and slapping them on every news page that I can slap them on. The newspaper, ABC, NBC, CBS. We've been doing that also. Great. So if a person is starting to get discouraged, that's perfectly fine. If they need to take a break, a lot of people will get into the activism and then they'll realize, oh God, I can't do this. And that's okay. If somebody says to themselves, I can't do this, I'm not in the right place in my life, that's fine. But instead of focusing on all the people that I've lost along the way, or all the people that have been horrible to me as I continue to fight, I just keep looking forward. I basically step over them and keep going. Right. Because there's so much to do, and there's so much that I can do. it is tough. Like Russ said, right now I'm a full-time college student. I'm balls to the walls dealing with exams, research papers, raising my daughter. Plus, I pay it forward. I belong to, you guys can Google pay it forward if you don't know what that is, but you basically do kind acts for anyone, anytime you have a chance. If you have a chance, you do it. So when you come from that philosophy, if you can help, you should help. If you can help, you could help. So look at the positive. There's going to be a lot of people that are not going to be on board with this. This is so hard to swallow for so many people.
Mm-hmm.
But if we just keep trying, coming up with creative ways, if you're the person who's suffering and ill inside your home, you can be that person that finds me saying, all activists, please join me in this week. And I'll send you, 5 pages and ask you just to go and put a smiley face. If I know that you're going to put smiley faces on all those media sites that my event is on, I can feel good about going out and planning out my event signs. Or, there's just so many different things that once we all talk to each other, everyone's got different issues and different skills, different disabilities and different innovations, but you can work with all of them. And I don't take any person that joins in with me for some activism as a weakness. I figure, leaders don't make good followers. Leaders should make more leaders.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're there for.
All right.
Yeah, set an example. That was so well said.
All right. Any upcoming events you want people to attend, Kim?
Actually, the TPP issue that they were just talking about earlier, we're going to be going out this Saturday from roughly between noon and 3 p.m. here in southern Maine. We're basically going to have signs. It's going to have some information about what that means. We already have the group administrator, Naomi, who was on chat earlier. She's created some flyers that's going to give anybody that stops some general information. The next major event is going to be the global March Against Chemtrails. That's not going to be until January. Our intentions are to keep the information going. Any activism groups, I'll basically post the link in there. I planned to have a public meeting the week before, let the public know that there are health risks and environmental hazards that are happening in the area. Not coming right out and saying, hey, you're being blasted every day. Wake up.
Right.
That's not how you get people that have no idea what's going on. I think if somebody would have said that to me, I would have been like, okay, next.
Yeah.
I'm moving on. Crazy people over there. But
Okay.
even if it's just yourself and you're not well, you can make a yard sign for $2. Stick it on your windshield. There's plenty of political candidate signs still kicking around that haven't been gathered. Grab one.
Well, here's an idea, and I actually saw it when I was traveling this summer, and I went into a coffee shop, and on, you get the Post-it boards with the pictures are for sale, and someone had actually handwritten out, look out for chemtrails, and they listed all these websites to research, and I thought, oh my God, somebody else is awake. What a great idea. And I was like, oh yeah, I got to tell people that. So just normal Joe, go in the laundromat, go in the grocery store, go in the coffee shop, put it on a Post-it, do whatever. But a little bit helps. It goes a long way.
I tape signs to the back of my truck. My truck is over 20 years old. It is like, it's got rust holes, you name it. I'm not worried about duct tape right now. I'm worried about, playing in the leaves with my child and sucking in nasty, gross clouds.
Yeah.
So, when I say I don't feel like going out to protest today, or geez, I don't want to stay up all night making signs, I find a way to pull myself out of it because we're all in this together and we can make a difference, or we can sit on our butt and complain if we want to, but it's not going to get any better that way. So I've been stuck in traffic with people that have pulled up, rolled their window down, and pointed to my truck and said, I love your sign. I knew something was off. So
That's great. Yeah, that's great. And you know what? Hopefully we'll wake up another Kim or two. And then, you never know.
Another little spitfire.
That's right. You never know who you're waking up. You might wake up another Kim. You might wake up another Tam, you might wake up another BJ, and these people are going to become,
Exactly.
these people are going to become just fiery darts in this in this uh, in this whole movement to try to get the public to wake up, which is so
Yeah,
important.
and,
But
and we teach from example, and I'm really looking forward to my son and his friends following in the footsteps of being aware, being concerned, and taking action. That's
absolutely.
my goal.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we got to wrap this up. I've got to roll. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is Open Mic Night at globalskywatch.com. So I want to let everybody know that within the next couple weeks, maybe next week, Kelly Dougherty from the San Francisco protest is going to be with us. She's always an absolute joy to talk to. She founded and helps coordinate the San Francisco protests, and she is very experienced with this now and is going to teach us how to approach people, and is always very inspiring to talk to as well. So that's Monday night, 8:30 Eastern Time and 5:30 Pacific Time, 1:30 a.m. Tuesday morning, London time. So I hope if you're listening to this that you'll consider coming back and joining us on Monday nights so we all can get together and encourage ourselves and learn what we can do about this. So we will see you then next week. Thank you all for calling in and being so helpful and wonderful and bountiful with your information and calming me down, even though you weren't trying to. Just hearing people who are passionate about this helps me to calm down and get my sanity back. So I really appreciate
Yeah.
that part of it
It
too.
brings some faith back into humanity, doesn't it, Russ?
It does. It does. Meeting people who are awake and aware and are willing to be motivated really helps to bring some peace back. So I'm very grateful to people who are putting themselves out there. I really am. So join us next week, please. There's
Well,
gonna,
Russ,
yeah, yeah.
I was going to say, Russ, that's part of the reason why I do what I do, because people in your condition, my heart goes out to you, and people that I've known. I mean, the people in your position are the people that deserve to be resolved. This deserves to get better for you guys. And I'm not suffering like that. And when I'm out there, I'm thinking of you guys. I'm seriously thinking of you guys. Your heart is with me while I'm out there. It keeps me motivated.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
that's what
you.
makes us a family. It's one love.
Well, thank you.
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And people, I know I say this a lot of times at the end of the show or during the show, but I am so appreciative because I haven't gone out yet, honestly, doing a protest. I do everything I can from my home because if they spray really hard, I walk like a 70-year-old man because my heart becomes
Mhm.
inflamed, and
The
and they,
palpitations and the pain. Yeah.
yes, and they do it all the time. And so I put my effort into trying to do other things like have the website, have this show, and do other and provide people with flyers and signs and all the infrastructure type of stuff that I can do from where I'm at anyway. But I'm very grateful for the people who are able to go out and actually do this stuff. And I will, if we have something locally, I have tried to get something to Bangor, Maine. So if you're listening and you're in this area, I will go out with you and I would love to do something, but I haven't gotten any response from people in Bangor yet. But we need to get it going. Anyway, I'm going on and on, but tell you what, next week we'll see you. I know I could go on forever, but next week we'll see you. We'll get together. I'm going to have after talk right after this, so just hang on for 2 minutes, and the after talk will be on. The phone lines will still be open, so everybody can chat if you like for as long as you like. So thank you again, all of you, for everything that you do, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you all. Good night.
Good night. We'll
Good
see.
night.
Good night.
Bye bye.